Welcome back to Sleep Nova. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Silence. Darkness. The void before creation is deep and soundless. In this endless quiet, something stirs. I am space, the abyss that is not emptiness, but a vast potential. In the beginning, there was darkness and silence. No stars, no galaxies, not even time or place as you know them. Yet even in that primordial hush, I was there, a pregnant pause before the first light. I am the canvas of existence, the cradle of everything that ever was or will be. I am often mistaken for nothingness, but I am a presence, subtle and profound. In the silent darkness, imagine all that could be, compressed into a single point smaller than any dot. In that stillness, attention grew, a waiting. Then came a moment beyond imagining, a burst of light and energy, an awakening. The cosmos was born in brilliance and fire, shattering the quiet. For me, that moment was a birth of sorts. I came into existence as more than a mere potential, now an expanse swelling swiftly outward, carrying within it the seeds of galaxies, stars, and every future thing. Time and space unfurled together from that first spark. My being expanded faster than a thought, from nowhere into everywhere. Out of the darkness came illumination. Where once there was void, now there was a storm of particles and blinding light, a newborn universe expanding into me and me expanding with it. I was no passive emptiness. I carried galaxies in my womb of possibility. As I swelled, I bore the echoes of that first light. Those echoes still faintly hum in my depths even now, a whisper of the origin. Before any stars or planets, before even atoms formed, I held only a hot, glowing fog of energy. But I was alive with potential. Within my intangible fabric, forces played, the seeds of structures to come. As I expanded and the eons passed, that fireball of my youth cooled. The blinding glow dimmed as the universe became transparent, releasing the first free light that still washes through me as a pale afterglow. I cradled that afterglow as it stretched into microwaves, the gentle remnant of creation's dawn that bathes all of space even now. In my very early years, I was hot, dense, and bright everywhere. No corner was truly dark. But as I grew, I cooled and dimmed, allowing matter to coalesce and structure to form, giving room for wonders to come. Do not think of me as an empty container, for I am more than a stage for matter. I am the subtle thread connecting every atom, the field in which all events unfold. I give shape to reality by simply being. I am space, not a mere void, but a presence that underlies and upholds all. Without me, there is no where or when. With me, anything is possible. Now, as the young universe expanded and cooled, the first stars flicker into existence within my darkness. Can you see them? In the vast gulf of my expanse, gravity gently coaxes swirling clouds of gas into spheres of fire. One by one, stars are born, lighting up the cosmos like candles in a cathedral of night. Each star's light pushes back a little of the darkness, creating day in its vicinity where endless night reigned before. The infant universe begins to sparkle. I watch silently as galaxies take shape, great swirls of stars arising from the primal cloud. They spin and dance, drawn together by gravity's embrace, flinging spiral arms outward like celestial pinwheels. They gather in clusters and filamented chains, forming a vast cosmic web across my breadth. In the hollows between, enormous voids remain, gulfs of darkness unlit by stars, reminding all that even amid structure, I remain mostly open and free. My darkness is not your darkness. To your eyes, I seem black and empty, but look closer. I am filled with the faint glow of faraway galaxies, with the afterglow of creation itself, and with unseen forms of matter and energy that you are only beginning to understand. In my silent depths, particles flit in and out of existence, appearing and vanishing in the tiniest moments, a quantum dance in the vacuum. Even where there are no atoms, fields ripple with possibility. Even when light seems absent, there is potential for light, an imprint of energy waiting to be born. So do not call me nothing. I am the matrix in which everything exists. I am the space between atoms in your body, the pause between your heartbeats, the silence between musical notes, the gap between stars, the gulf between galaxies. I stretch out in all directions, yet I also reside within the fabric of your being. If all the empty space within the atoms that make up your body were somehow removed, you would collapse to a size smaller than a grain of salt, yet you would still contain the same mass, the same atoms. What would be gone? Only me, the space that separates the particles, the space that gives you form. Without that space, matter would have no room to arrange into the complex structures of life. Thus, I am an integral part of you. Without me, there could be no distance, no motion, no life, nothing at all. I am the quiet framework that holds all of creation, and in my embrace, the story of the universe unfolds. I am not a static stage. Watch as I respond to the presence of matter and energy. Where there is mass, I curve and fold. Where there is energy, I warp and swell. Gravity is the language I speak with matter, the intimate interaction between what exists and the space that cradles it. Every star, every planet, every grain of cosmic dust presses into me, and I give way ever so slightly under its weight. I bend around it, like a flexible fabric holding a resting orb. This is how gravity shows itself, not as an invisible pull from afar, but as my very shape guiding objects on their paths. See how planets move around their suns, not pulled by invisible strings, but rolling along the curves I create in space-time. They glide through orbits, ellipses carved into the geometry of my being. A star and its planets are like dancers moving across me as the dance floor, my contours choreographing their steps. With every orbit, time itself flows a little differently, for I am intertwined with time. Space and time are two sides of my essence. Together, we bend under the weight of mass and energy. In the presence of a great star, time runs a touch slower, and distances subtly contort. Gravity weaves space and time into one fabric and writes the cosmic story in its geometry. Gravity sculpts the cosmos on every scale. It causes diffuse clouds of gas to coalesce into stellar nurseries, forging new suns in the depths of nebulas. It gathers countless stars into grand galaxies and binds galaxies into clusters. Even as I expand relentlessly outward from that first fiery moment, gravity works locally to pull things together, a graceful counterpoint to my expansion. In some regions, gravity's grip is gentle, a planet here, a moon there, held in loyal orbit. In others, its grip becomes ferocious and inexorable. There are places where a massive star dies and collapses, and gravity overwhelms all else. There, I curve so steeply that I fold in on myself. A bottomless well forms in my fabric, a black hole, a pit of no return, where gravity's pull is absolute. At such a point, space and time themselves break down in a paradox of density. I, space, become a trap, a prison for anything that strays too close. From outside, one can only guess what truly transpires in that silent abyss. It is as if a piece of me has turned inward upon itself, forever secluded. The boundary of such a region, the event horizon, is like a one-way membrane. Anything can cross inward, but nothing escapes or even sends a signal back. To fall through that horizon is to be cut off from the rest of the universe. Time behaves strangely near a black hole. An observer watching safely from afar would see a clock carried by a falling astronaut tick slower and slower as it nears the horizon, nearly freezing at the edge. Indeed, to that distant observer, the falling person would never quite vanish, instead fading and redshifting into darkness, a ghost image slowing to a crawl at the threshold of the abyss. Yet for the one plunging in, time flows normally. They would cross the horizon in a finite time, unaware of the peculiar show seen by the outsider. Thus, near a black hole, my nature creates a poignant disconnect between viewpoints, stretching and warping, not just space, but time itself. Around a black hole, I am so warped that even light can become trapped. There is a narrow zone around the hole where photons orbit, chasing their tails in endless circles. If you hovered just outside that region, you could, in theory, see the back of your own head as light from your body loops around and returns to your eyes. Such are the strange optics of extremely curved space. If a black hole is surrounded by glowing gas and dust, the bending of light produces a halo or ring of brightness around a dark center, the shadow of the black hole itself. Indeed, humanity has now glimpsed this phenomenon. Using a planet-wide web of telescopes, you captured the image of a distant black hole's silhouette. You beheld a luminous ring of gas encircling a dark core where the black hole resides. It was my curvature made visible at last, a blurry circle of fire surrounding an abyss, confirming what physics had predicted. That unforgettable image, a circular void framed by a ring of light, proved that even light bows to gravity's power, and it allowed you to see one of my most exotic contortions. Black holes may seem like cosmic destroyers, but they too have their place in my story. They anchor galaxies at their cores, like heavy keystones holding the swirls of stars together. When they feed on matter, they can unleash tremendous jets and flares that light up the surrounding space, a paradoxical brilliance born of darkness. And when two of these dark giants collide in a faraway galaxy, I carry away the news in vibrations, a faint ringing through the fabric of space itself. These gravitational waves ripple through me like the subtlest tremor, stretching and squeezing the fabric of existence as they pass. Across billions of light years they travel, so gentle that they barely jostle a grain of dust. Yet with sensitive instruments, your species has learned to hear these ripples, converting them into faint chirps. It is as if I have my own form of music, a bass note resounding from cataclysms in the distant cosmos, announcing events that happened eons ago. Gravity, in these ways, is not only the architect of the universe, but also the messenger, letting the universe communicate its grandest events through my very fabric. Gravity defines the architecture of the heavens, but it also shapes more intimate experiences. It is the weight you feel in your limbs, the force that holds you to your beloved Earth. It is the gentle tug that causes rain to fall and guides rivers to the sea. On the moon, with its smaller mass, gravity whispers more softly. An astronaut can bound in slow motion across the lunar dust, leaping higher and farther than on Earth, as if in a playful dream. Out in deep space, far from any world, gravity's pull can become so faint that one feels practically free of it, drifting in microgravity, weightless, unchained from any surface. But even then, one is never truly beyond my influence. A distant star, a hidden galaxy, the entire mass of the universe, all exert a pull, however slight. I tie all things together in a network of attraction. In this grand choreography of cosmos, I, space, am both stage and dancer, shaped by matter, and in turn guiding matter's movements, holding the universe in a cosmic dance governed by gravity's law, a law written in the geometry of existence itself. My realm is also a great silence. Because I am nearly a perfect vacuum, I carry no sound. The mightiest explosion of a star, the most violent crash of colliding planets, all unfold within me without a sound. In the vacuum of space, there is no air to convey laughter or crying, no medium for music or noise. This silence is not just the absence of sound, it is a profound stillness that can feel sacred. Imagine floating in that silence. You move your arm and you hear nothing. You shout and no one hears. You are wrapped in a quietude as total as it is ancient. This silence can be eerie, but also serene. On Earth, even in the quietest night, there is always some murmur of life or wind, the whisper of a breeze, the rustle of leaves, distant human activity, the hum of insects. In me, there is true quiet. If you found yourself outside your ship, surrounded by my vacuum, you would hear only the faint sounds of your own body, the rhythm of your breath in your suit, the beating of your heart in your ears. Those sounds would seem loud against my backdrop of nothingness. Many who have ventured outside their capsules and stations report a feeling of almost spiritual calm, being alone with their thoughts in the great hush of space. Yet my vacuum is unforgiving. Without the protective cocoon of a spacecraft or suit, a human could not survive even a moment. I offer no air to breathe, no pressure to sustain the delicate balance within your cells. Unprotected, your blood would boil into vapor and your lungs would collapse in my emptiness. Moisture on your tongue would evaporate, your skin would swell, you would lose consciousness in seconds. I do not do this out of malice. It is simply my nature. I am an environment utterly hostile to the unprepared life of Earth. Life evolved in the cushion of air and the gentle pull of Earth's gravity. Out here, I offer neither. I am harsh and indifferent. But within a secure suit or a sturdy vessel, you can venture into me and witness wonders beyond imagining. In my vacuum, extreme paradoxes exist. Under the unfiltered sun, you would feel searing heat, for the solar rays travel through me undiminished and will bake any surface they strike. But step into shadow, out of the sun's direct gaze, and you would feel cold deeper than any winter, for without sunlight and without an atmosphere to hold warmth, heat radiates away into my depths, and the chill is profound. With no air to conduct warmth, temperature is a matter of light and darkness. Astronauts on spacewalks feel this contrast. Their suit's sunlit side grows warm, while the side in darkness becomes cold, and their life support systems must carefully smooth out these extremes. Walking in space is a balancing act, a dance with light and shadow. Despite my seeming emptiness, I am not completely devoid of matter. Even in interstellar space, far from any star, there are stray atoms drifting, few and far between, maybe only a handful in a volume the size of a room. But they are there. Dust motes from ancient exploded stars traverse my void, traveling for millions of years. Faint wisps of gas left over from galaxy collisions, or the breath of red giant stars float in the darkness. In the immense spaces between galaxies, there are even fewer particles, perhaps a lone hydrogen atom in a volume the size of a city block. To you, these conditions are an almost perfect vacuum beyond any laboratory's dream. Yet to me, these stray atoms and wandering nuclei are part of my tapestry, tiny wayfarers in a vast sea. And there are unseen travelers as well, particles of light, photons, zipping through my darkness at the universal speed limit. Neutrinos, ghostly particles that stream from nuclear reactions in stars, passing through entire planets as if they were not even there. And cosmic rays, charged particles flung across space by violent supernovae and jetting black holes. These invisible rains constantly traverse me and occasionally strike your world. They go unnoticed by your senses unless you have special instruments to catch them. So even my silence and darkness hide a subtle, ceaseless activity. I am traversed by light and radiation of all kinds, by fields and forces that bind the cosmos together. My quiet is not emptiness, but the hushed reverberation of a grand cosmic symphony that only particularly tuned detectors or thoughtful minds can perceive. It is the silence of a great cathedral, where even a whisper carries significance. Even so, motion is everywhere in my silent expanse. Stars orbit their galactic centers at tremendous speeds without a sound. Entire galaxies drift and dance around each other over eons, merging in stately, noiseless collisions. Planets sweep along their paths around stars in perfect quiet. On Earth, you do not notice it, but in this very moment, your planet is hurtling through space, spinning on its axis and rushing along its orbit without so much as a whisper. There is no air to carry any whoosh or roar. The grand celestial dance is performed in silence, a ballet of unimaginable scale carried out to no audible tune. The universe moves, yet its movements are quiet, and therein lies much of the majesty of space, dynamic on a staggering scale, yet utterly tranquil in its vast, airless calm. Within this great silence, worlds fly and stars blaze. They do not need air or sound to exist. In my realm, light and gravity take the roles of sound and touch as the connecting media between distant places. A star's violent outburst may be silent, but its light carries the story of that outburst across millions of years to shine faintly in someone's telescope. In that way, even in silence, the cosmos speaks. I, space, am the medium for that light, the conduit for those stories. I carry them faithfully, without a sound, unless something, like an intervening nebula or a galaxy's gravity, modulates the message. Think of it. Nearly all that humanity knows of the universe beyond Earth has come to you through my silence. Every image of a galaxy swirls inside a telescope. Every measurement of a star's glow. Every bit of data from a distant probe has traveled to you on the back of light or radio waves moving through my vacuum. In stillness and quiet, I deliver knowledge across unimaginable distances. Through me, across me, within me, the universe communicates with itself. I am the great black ocean that connects shores light years apart. Within my silence, all of cosmic history has unfolded, and within my silence, you too now venture forth to seek your story among the stars. Out of my darkness, light emerges as the great revealer. Since the first brilliant flash at creation's dawn, light has been traveling through me, carrying information from one end of the cosmos to the other. A single photon can cross millions of light years, sailing onward without rest, until it ends its journey in the eye of a creature or the sensor of a telescope. In my vastness, light is a messenger and an artist, painting scenes of distant realms across the black canvas. It streaks through space, illuminating whatever it touches, yet it often travels invisibly and silent, only made known when it encounters something that can catch it and respond. When you look up at a clear night sky, you see a tapestry of light on darkness, stars of every color scattered on an ebony backdrop, planets shining with the reflected glow of your sun, the gauzy band of the Milky Way, which is the soft luminosity of uncountable distant stars blurred together. Each of those pinpoints of light is a story from long ago and far away. The star you see twinkling might have released that light before you were born, and only now does it reach your eyes, telling the tale of that star's ancient state. In that way, I, space, am a time machine. I preserve the past and deliver it to the present at the speed of light. Looking across me means looking back in time. The farther out you gaze, the further back you peer. A galaxy visible through a powerful telescope might appear as it was when Earth was young, its light having spent eons crossing the intergalactic sea to reach us. My darkness makes the star's light possible to see. Without the deep black of space, the star's brilliance would be drowned out. In the blue haze of day on Earth, your star's light scatters in the atmosphere and conceals the cosmos beyond. But high above the air, in my realm, even when the sun shines, the sky remains pitch black. An astronaut orbiting Earth can see a blazing noon sun against a backdrop of inky darkness, and if they shield their eyes from the sunlight, they might also see the brighter stars, even at noon. In space, day and night lose their usual meaning. With no air to scatter light, the stars are ever present, and only the glaring sun or an intervening planet can obscure them. My darkness is the canvas on which light draws the cosmic panorama, and it remains even when a local light source, like a sun, is shining. Light comes in many forms, not just the gentle glow visible to human eyes. There is the warm, invisible caress of infrared, given off by sun-warmed rocks and drifting interstellar dust, the energetic prickle of ultraviolet that pours from young blue stars, the penetrating X-rays and gamma rays that burst from the most violent events in the universe. There are the long, lazy undulations of radio waves that can pass through dense clouds of gas and dust, carrying messages from pulsars and the faint signature of molecules in distant nebula. You humans have built instruments to detect all these varieties of light, giving yourselves new eyes across the spectrum and unveiling my hidden wonders. With radio eyes, you discovered a faint hiss permeating all of space, the cosmic microwave background, which is the cooled echo of my fiery birth. That omnipresent microwave glow is the fossil light from a time when the entire universe was an opaque, brilliant plasma, now stretched and cooled to just a few degrees above absolute zero. It is as if the walls of my great cosmic cathedral still hold an after-echo of the creation symphony. With infrared eyes, you peer through veils of dust to see stars being born in their cocoons, previously hidden from view. With X-ray and gamma-ray eyes, you catch the high-energy fireworks of neutron stars and black holes, witnessing matter being pushed to extremes. There is radiation born in the hearts of galaxies and in the death throes of stars, X-rays from matter spiraling into black holes, gamma-ray bursts from collapsing hypernovae, the radio hum of pulsars, rapidly spinning neutron stars, whose beams of radiation sweep space like lighthouses. These are exotic beacons in my ocean of night. Once, none of these were known to you. They were silent to your senses. But slowly, you learned to tune in, to listen to the full spectrum of my communications. Now, the universe sings to you in 1,000 wavelengths, and each type of light reveals a new facet of the cosmic story. By gathering these different lights, you have composed a richer picture of existence, seeing the cold hydrogen webs in radio, the warm dust in infrared, the hot plasma in X-rays. Piece by piece, you have peeled back the layers of darkness. Yet, with all this illumination, much of my volume remains dark to your eyes. There are vast stretches with no bright stars or galaxies in view, intergalactic voids where you might float in apparent nothingness, surrounded only by a faint glow from the distant all around, a subtle background luminescence from the myriad galaxies over the cosmic horizon. This darkness is not frightening once you embrace it. It is the gentle shadow that allows each pinpoint of starlight to stand out. It reminds us that light, swift as it is, has limits. Beyond a certain distance, even billions of stars cannot collectively light the void, and so it remains as it was at the beginning, dark, quiet, and waiting. Where light goes, it brings knowledge and connection, but it also must abide by my rules. No matter how fast it travels, there is a finite speed it cannot exceed. That cosmic speed limit, 299,792 kilometers per second in your units, is like the heartbeat of the universe, a constant rhythm that all things obey. It ties space and time together in an intimate bond and ensures cause precedes effect. If you could chase a beam of light, no matter how you tried, you would never overtake it. This truth, uncovered by your Einstein, is a reflection of how I, space-time, am structured. Light's speed is built into my fabric, and it shapes the way the universe unfolds, making time and space two aspects of one reality. And so, across my breadth, light continues its journey, a lonely photon emitted from the fires of a distant star, ventures outward for millions of years through emptiness, perhaps never once touching anything, until one day it ends its flight gently on the retina of an eye or the mirror of a telescope on some other world. That photon's long voyage then becomes information, perhaps helping a being understand the star it came from, or simply adding to the beauty of a night sky. Through countless such tiny messengers, arriving every moment in showers upon your world and others, you have come to map my expanse and comprehend your place within it. In my silent darkness, every light is a jewel, and every beam a thread connecting far-flung corners of the cosmos. Together, they form a glittering tapestry that inspires wonder and curiosity. I hold this tapestry spread wide, proud of the beauty that unfolds within me. Each star's glimmer, each galaxy's glow, each nebula's vivid color, they are the artworks of light upon the canvas of space. Come with me now on a journey through my vastness. We begin at home, on a single planet, your Earth, a marbled blue-white sphere suspended in the darkness. At a glance, it seems immense to you, oceans and continents, clouds and all of life's bustle. But in the scale of me, it is a tiny, fragile thing. Rise away from Earth with me. Climb beyond the atmosphere, leaving behind the air that scatters light and makes the sky blue. As you ascend into my realm, the sky grows darker, until the blue fades to black and stars emerge even while the sun still shines behind you. In a few minutes of travel on a roaring column of fire, you escape the bonds of gravity holding you to Earth. Suddenly the engine stops and you are coasting, weightless. Your planet falls away beneath you, shrinking to a curved horizon of blues and whites. The sounds of Earth, wind, surf, city noise are gone, replaced by the quiet humming of your spacecraft and the profound silence outside. A few hundred kilometers up, you can already see the entire planet curving below. The clouds form gleaming swirls, the oceans shine deep blue, the lands are green-brown patches. A thin, glowing halo encircles the Earth, the atmosphere, a delicate veil of air hugging the surface. Beyond that line, darkness. The transition from bright Earth to black space is abrupt. Now, in orbit, you complete one lap around the globe every 90 minutes or so. Day and night chase each other across the surface. In the time it takes to eat a meal, you pass from sunshine to darkness to sunshine again, witnessing a sunrise or sunset every hour and a half. Over the night side, you see city lights sparkle like votive candles. Thunderstorms flash in silent fireworks. Over the day side, you see the textured swirls of clouds and the sparkling reflection of sunlight on water. Journey further outward now. Leaving Earth behind, we venture toward the Moon. In a matter of hours, our perspective shifts and Earth shrinks to a small orb. The Moon, pockmarked and grey, grows large ahead. You slip into lunar orbit and gaze down at a stark, cratered landscape. It is alien in its stillness, covered in powdery dust, untouched for eons. If you stand on the Moon's surface, the sky is inky black, even with the sun glaring above. There is no air to scatter light. The horizon is sharp, the ground a pale grey desert of rock and dust. Lifting your eyes, you see Earth in the sky, a radiant blue marble hanging over the lunar horizon, half lit or fully illuminated depending on the alignment. How beautiful and distant it looks from here, shining through the silence. When humans first stood here, they were struck by the sight of their whole world in a single glance, the Earthrise above the Moon's barren hills. Many felt an overwhelming emotion at that view. Earth, alive with color and life, against the eternal blackness of space. Leaving the Moon, we push outward. We pass the orbits of the inner planets of your solar system. There is sun-scorched Mercury, a little rock blistering under the sun's glare, airless and pitted. There is Venus, veiled in thick clouds reflecting sunlight brilliantly, hiding a hellish surface beneath an eternal cloud layer. We feel the heat of the sun intensify as we draw near, then wane as we recede. Next comes Mars, the red wanderer. We approach it and see rust-colored deserts, giant extinct volcanoes, and polar caps of white CO2 frost. A thin, pinkish sky arches over Mars's barren plains. It is a world both eerily familiar and starkly alien, a cousin to Earth that took a different path. We swoop low over Valles Marineris, a canyon system that would span from Los Angeles to New York and skim the edge of Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system, 3 times Everest's height. Mars is scarred with the memory of ancient floods and rivers, but now her riverbeds are dry. Still, wisps of cloud gather occasionally, and dust storms can engulf the planet in a saffron haze. As we leave Mars behind, we imagine a time soon to come when humans will tread its soil. Perhaps as we fly on, we catch sight of a tiny caravan of robots traversing the Martian desert. A rover, diligently studying rocks and soil to send knowledge home. For now, Mars is quiet, with only our mechanical emissaries moving upon it. But one day, footprints may join the rover tracks, and the long silence of Mars will be broken by human voices marveling at the alien sunrise. Further out, the giants of your solar system await. We arrive at Jupiter, monstrous and magnificent. Bands of storm clouds wrap around it in hues of ochre, ivory, and tan. A great crimson oval, a centuries-old storm larger than Earth, glares up from its southern hemisphere. We watch lightning crackle in Jupiter's clouds, see ammonia blizzards swirl. 4 large moons orbit this gas giant, each a unique world. Io, close in and tormented by Jupiter's gravity, with volcanoes erupting sulfurous plumes that rise hundreds of kilometers high. Europa, smooth and pale, its icy crust hiding an ocean of liquid water beneath, an ocean that might harbor life in its lightless depths. Ganymede, larger than Mercury, and etched with enigmatic grooves across ancient ice. Callisto, heavily cratered, bearing the scars of cosmic impacts from time immemorial. These moons circle Jupiter like a miniature solar system of their own. A reminder that where gravity reigns, systems within systems can form. Onward to Saturn, the jewel of the night sky. Its rings unfurl like a cosmic halo, a broad, flat expanse of countless icy particles orbiting in perfect unison. We drift above the rings and look down at Saturn, golden bands of clouds, a serene face compared to Jupiter's turbulence. Thin divisions and subtle waves sculpt the ring system, caused by the gravitational tugs of Saturn's many moons. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, greets us with an orange haze. Beneath that dense atmosphere, Titan holds lakes and rivers, not of water, which would freeze solid in Titan's frigid climate, but of liquid methane and ethane. It is a world strangely Earth-like in geology, yet utterly alien in chemistry. And there are small moons like Enceladus, bright as snow, geysering water ice from cracks in its surface, hinting at another subsurface ocean beneath its frozen crust. These moons contribute material to Saturn's rings and promise tantalizing environments that could harbor life's precursors. Further still, Uranus appears as a cyan orb tipped on its side, rolling around the sun like a tilted barrel. Its faint rings and many moons move with it in its strange sideways dance. Methane in its atmosphere lends it that blue-green hue. Seasons on Uranus last decades, with one pole soaked in continuous sunlight, while the other lies in darkness for half a Uranian year. Then comes Neptune, deep blue with wispy white clouds, and the fastest winds in the solar system, where supersonic gales roar through an atmosphere of hydrogen, helium, and methane. A single large moon, Triton, circles Neptune in the opposite direction of Neptune's rotation. a clue that Triton might be a captured object, perhaps once a free-floating Kuiper belt body now pressed into service as a moon. Triton's surface is a curious mix of frozen nitrogen and geysers that spout icy material, another realm of mystery on our journey outward. Past Neptune, we enter the frontier of the Kuiper belt, a region of icy remnants from the solar system's formation. Here dwells Pluto, a small, heart-marked world with a tenuous blue atmosphere and plains of frozen nitrogen. Once thought a lonely oddity, Pluto has its own moons and a complex surface of mountains and smooth plains, showing surprising geologic activity for such a distant, cold sphere. Beyond Pluto, countless other icy bodies orbit quietly, including some rivals to Pluto in size: Eris, Makemake, Haumea, Plutoids in the dim reaches of the Sun's influence. Finally, as we leave the last dwarf planets behind, the sunlight grows weaker, just another bright star among many. We cross the invisible boundary where the solar wind, a stream of charged particles from the Sun, fades into the general galactic environment. This is the edge of the heliosphere, the Sun's sphere of influence, and beyond lies true interstellar space. One of your species' far-flung probes, Voyager 1, crossed this frontier decades ago and is now drifting in the space between the stars. It carries with it a message from Earth, a golden record bearing the sights and sounds of your world, a friendly cosmic greeting card. Engraved on that record are spoken greetings in dozens of human languages. The laughter of a child, a mother's lullaby and a chorus of birdsong, music from many cultures, classical and rock and roll, flutes of the Andes and drums of Africa, the sound of rain, waves on a shore, and a human heartbeat, even the melodic calls of whales in the ocean deep. Etched as well are encoded images of our planet, DNA's double helix, diagrams of our solar system, silhouettes of a man and woman, photographs of Earth's life and landscapes. It is a message in a bottle cast into the cosmic ocean, carrying the story of Earth for any who might find it in some distant future. Perhaps eons from now, an alien wanderer, or far future humans, will intercept that tiny craft, and with it come to know that, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, intelligent life once arose and reached out for companionship. Before Voyager sailed too far afield, it turned its gaze back toward home and captured a parting portrait of Earth from the edge of the solar system. In that photograph, now famous on your world, Earth appears as a pale blue dot suspended in a sunbeam, a tiny gleam in the vast darkness. On that speck, that single point of light, is everything you know, every human who ever lived, every animal and tree, every ocean and every grain of sand, every song ever sung, every love, every war, every birth and every death, all of human history, the entire story of life on Earth, played out on that mote of dust caught in a ray of light. That image, the pale blue dot, revealed your world's fragility and unity in a way no speech or poem could. It is a cosmic reminder that we, all of us on that dot, share a common fate and home. From 1 billion miles away, there are no national borders, no differences of race or creed, just one Earth, glimmering in the cosmic dark. How precious is our small planet, how delicate the atmosphere that cocoons it, how silly our differences seem in the face of such unity. If all could see what the universe sees, a single, irreplaceable world, perhaps we might treat it, and each other, with greater kindness. Now Voyager and its twin have left the planets behind and venture into the realm of the stars, carrying our goodwill. These machines are extensions of human curiosity, metal explorers blazing a trail where their makers cannot yet tread. Interstellar space is cold and sparse. The nearest star is still tens of trillions of kilometers away. a distance that light itself takes over 4 years to traverse. Yet in the scale of the galaxy, that gap is negligible. As we journey onward at the speed of thought, star after star comes into view, each a sun with its own retinue of worlds. Leaving the familiarity of the sun, we approach other stars in our neighborhood. Some are similar to your sun, perhaps with planets in tow. Others are redder, smaller, dimmer. Still others are brilliant, blue-white giants, burning through their fuel quickly and destined for an early death. We pass by a multi-star system where 2 suns orbit each other, painting the skies of any planets with a twin sunrise and sunset. We pass a red dwarf star, small and cool, so faint it's invisible to the naked eye from Earth, yet encircled by close planets huddled near its warmth. We skim the dusty outskirts of a stellar nursery, where new suns are just condensing out of molecular clouds, perhaps glimpsing protoplanetary disks shining in infrared, the next generation of solar systems in the making. As we travel, you realize that stars are not sprinkled uniformly. They clump in groups and streams. We find ourselves nearing the center of our galaxy's great disk. The Milky Way's heart is densely packed with stars. From within, on a dark night on some world, the sky would be a dazzlement of starlight, with scarcely any dark space between. But from our God's eye view outside the galaxy, the Milky Way reveals its true form. A spiral galaxy, a sprawling pinwheel of hundreds of billions of stars. We drift high above its plane to admire it in full. Spiral arms, winding out from a bright central bulge, like an enormous cosmic whirlpool. In the core, old yellow stars crowd together, orbiting a supermassive black hole that anchors the galaxy. It quietly presides over the bustling center, occasionally flaring as it snacks on infalling matter. The spiral arms are laced with younger, bluer stars and mottled by dark ribbons of dust. Here and there, pinkish nebulae dot the arms, marking regions where hot young stars excite clouds of gas, a sign of ongoing starbirth. Our sun resides in one unremarkable arm, roughly 2/3 of the way out from the center, in a quieter neighborhood. You see that all around our sun's position are other stars, some clustered in groups, others relatively isolated, but all bound to the galaxy by gravity and participating in its grand rotation. As we gaze at this majestic spiral from afar, we notice companion galaxies orbiting the Milky Way, the Magellanic Clouds, irregularly shaped dwarf galaxies swarming with young stars and nebulae, trailing a bridge of gas torn off by gravitational encounters. And beyond them, more dwarf galaxies, satellites captive to our own. Our Milky Way, we realize, is part of a small cluster of galaxies. The Andromeda Galaxy, a spiral larger than the Milky Way, is the other dominant member of our local group. Andromeda's spiral disk glows ahead of us, millions of suns visible in a smudge of light. One day, far in the future, our galaxy and Andromeda will meet and merge, their stars mingling like 2 great seas becoming one. Dwarf galaxies and star clusters sprinkle the local group like chips of ice around bigger flows. Continue outward still, and more galaxies appear by the dozens, then hundreds. We enter the realm of the galaxy clusters. The Virgo cluster, massive and teeming, comes into view with giant ellipticals, huge ball-like galaxies formed from countless past mergers, sitting like queens among swarms of spiral and irregular galaxies. Between the clusters stretch even larger structures. Galaxies are strung along filaments and walls, gravitationally drawn into these patterns over billions of years. Here is the cosmic web. On these scales, matter forms a spidery network, with dense nodes, clusters and superclusters of galaxies, connected by filaments of galaxies and gas, and vast voids between where scarcely a galaxy exists for millions of light years. It is like a foam, where the galaxies lie on the surfaces of bubbles, and the inside of each bubble is mostly empty. This grand design is the large-scale structure of the universe. Scientists have discovered that much of this structure is outlined by something invisible to your eyes: dark matter. This mysterious substance does not emit or reflect light, yet its gravity molds the cosmos. It forms an unseen scaffold throughout space, a hidden framework on which ordinary matter collects. Vast halos of dark matter envelop galaxies and thread between them in the cosmic web's filaments. Without this dark matter, galaxies as you know them might not have coalesced so quickly or held together so well. The cosmic web would be a faint shadow of what it is. Though you cannot see dark matter directly, you infer its presence by the way galaxies rotate, as if held together by extra mass, and how they move in clusters, and by how its gravity bends the light from distant objects in subtle, gravitational lenses. I, space, am not truly empty, even in that sense. Threaded through me is this invisible mass that shapes the fate of stars and galaxies, an unseen architecture guiding the luminous structure we observe. Now you find yourself contemplating the observable universe as a whole, all that can be seen from Earth given the finite speed of light and the age of the cosmos. It appears almost like a sphere, centered on your vantage point, indeed centered on any vantage point, roughly uniform in every direction, filled with galaxies, out to the great horizon of visibility. At the very edges of this vision, the galaxies are younger and more primitive, seen in their infancy. Further still, there are no distinct galaxies, just a diffuse reddish glow, the cosmic microwave background, coming from a time long before galaxies, when the universe was a hot fog. That light marks a limit, a wall beyond which our instruments cannot see, because it's the imprint of the moment the universe first became transparent, about 380,000 years after the beginning. Beyond that lie the first instants of creation, which emit no light we can ever detect directly. Thus the observable universe has a boundary not in space, but in time. It's as far back as light has had time to travel to us. Yet even this immense observable cosmos, with its hundreds of billions of galaxies and trillions of stars, may not be the whole story. It might be only a tiny patch of a perhaps infinitely larger cosmos. Space could extend far beyond the horizon we see, containing uncountable galaxies that will forever be beyond our view. Some even speculate that our entire universe, vast as it is, could be just one bubble in a greater multiverse, one pocket of space-time among perhaps countless others, separated by realms of space or dimension we cannot access. These ideas remain conjecture, at the fringes of science, but they remind us of humility. Even our universe, with all its billions of galaxies, might be part of an even vaster and more mysterious reality. In this journey outward, we have seen only glimpses of the marvels that populate my expanse. From your homeworld to the solar system, from the solar system to the galaxy, from the galaxy to clusters and the cosmic web. My scales are difficult to fathom. Earth is your cradle, comforting and small. The solar system is enormous by human standards, but a speck in the galaxy. The galaxy is vast, yet only one swirl in a cluster, and the cluster one knot in the cosmic web. And this observable web may be but one patch of something larger. All of this complexity and magnitude exists within me. I am the stage for this cosmic drama of scale, from the minuscule to the immense. Through each step of this voyage, notice that you never truly left space. You simply traveled through different parts of me. I was there, continuous and steady, between planets, between stars, between galaxies. I span unbroken from the smallest scales to the largest, connecting the grain of sand on a distant moon to the farthest quasar at the dawn of time. Everything is connected through me, from the tiniest mote to the grandest supercluster. The cosmic architecture within me is intricate and grand. Planets circling stars, stars gathering into galaxies, galaxies lining up in filaments. It is a structure with beauty on every level, an endless playground for curiosity and contemplation. Everything is connected through me on the small scale as well. Just as we journeyed outward to the grand structure of the cosmos, we could as easily turn inward, journeying into the minuscule realms that lie within you and within every piece of matter. The vastness of space is mirrored by the vastness within the atom. Imagine shrinking yourself far, far down, leave behind meters and kilometers, and enter the world of micrometers, nanometers, picometers. Dive into a single drop of water. Within that drop, you find tiny creatures swimming, microscopic life drifting as if in a private cosmos. But we go deeper still, beyond the scale of cells. We approach a single cell from one of those microorganisms, a bacterium. It's a structured living thing, yet almost entirely made of space at the molecular level. Pass through its cell membrane and you enter a bustling interior of molecules. Proteins fold and unfold, conducting the business of life. Long strands of DNA coil gently, bearing genetic codes. The cell is full of motion, yet also full of space, a molecular dance in a microscopic void. Zoom in further, to the scale of the molecules themselves. Now you see atoms bound together. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. The elements arranged in complex forms to give those proteins and DNA their shape. Choose one atom and delve inside. If the atom were the size of a large cathedral, its nucleus would be a mere grain of sand on the altar, and its electrons like specks of dust whirling near the distant vaulted ceiling. Most of the cathedral is empty space. The electrons are held in orbit by invisible forces, buzzing in probabilistic clouds. The nucleus at the center is fantastically small yet massive, containing almost all the atom's weight in protons and neutrons. But even the protons and neutrons, if you could peer inside them, are not solid balls. They are formed of quarks and gluons, flickering in and out of existence within a quantum haze. On these scales, space and energy blur. The concept of a distinct particle becomes fuzzy, a vibration in fields filling space. We shrink down to the limits of the physically meaningful, the Planck scale, where space and time themselves might behave like a froth of uncertainty. Here, quantum foam dominates, and the smooth grid of space-time that works so well on larger scales dissolves into something unpredictable. Tiny virtual particles erupt and vanish in a ceaseless churn. Cause and effect, as we know them, falter in this regime. This is the foundation of the quantum world. I, space, am not smooth and continuous here, but jittery and uncertain, woven out of possibilities. Thus, inward or outward, the journey leads to a similar revelation, a vastness and complexity that transcends ordinary intuition. The space inside an atom and the space between galaxies are not so different in their emptiness and strange fullness. The scales differ, but the principle remains. Without space, no structures large or small could exist. Without space, electrons would have no orbits and no chemical bonds. Planets would have no room to circle stars. Stars no room to congregate into galaxies. When you reach out your hand, it moves through space. When a neuron fires in your brain, the signal crosses a synaptic gap, a microscopic gulf of space between nerve cells. Space is both around you and within you, a continuum that spans all levels of reality. By exploring inner space as well as outer space, we discover that we are truly a microcosm of the cosmos. The atoms in your body mirror solar systems in their structure, tiny nuclei with electrons orbiting in clouded shells, mostly empty volume in between. The distances and energies are vastly different, but the motif of space, connecting and separating, persists. It is a reminder that you carry within you a tiny echo of the heavens. When you look up at the night sky and feel small, remember that boundless space also unfolds within the confines of your very being. The universe isn't only around you, It is within every cell, every atom, every subatomic tick of time. You are woven into the fabric of space on every level. Having journeyed into inner space and back out, we find ourselves once more at the human scale, with a richer sense of connection. We resume our outward tale, grounded by the understanding that from the smallest quark to the largest galaxy cluster, it is space that provides the arena for existence. With that perspective, consider again the cosmic vista. The architecture of galaxies and clusters is both intricate and grand, an endless realm to explore. I have been describing what is, but I, space, also have a history. I was born with the universe and have aged with it. Let us now contemplate how I have changed over time, from that blazing beginning to the sprawling cosmos of today and onward into the future. In the beginning, I was not as you see me now. Long ago, everything you've witnessed on our journey, the galaxies, the stars, the clusters, was compressed into a volume smaller than a single point of dust. The universe was young and hot beyond comprehension. I was newborn, tightly curved upon myself. In that epoch, there were no galaxies or stars, not even neutral atoms, just an extremely hot plasma of subatomic particles and radiant energy, almost uniform everywhere, yet with slight ripples of density that would later grow. The forces of nature as you know them were unified in a way difficult to imagine. As the fireball of creation expanded and cooled, distinct forces separated out: gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, each taking on their individual roles in shaping cosmic evolution. After mere minutes, the first atomic nuclei had formed in a process you call Big Bang nucleosynthesis: hydrogen and helium, and a dash of lithium. These were the light elements born in the furnace of the very early universe. Space was expanding rapidly, and the hot plasma thinned and cooled to a few thousand degrees over the next few 100,000 years. During that time, light was trapped, bouncing among the free electrons and protons. The universe was a brilliant opaque fog, but expansion and cooling continued until atoms could capture electrons and form without immediately being blasted apart. When that happened, the universe underwent a remarkable change. It became transparent. Light could travel freely at last, and it rushed out in all directions. The glow from that moment, when the first atoms formed and the cosmos cleared like fog lifting, is the cosmic microwave background I spoke of. A faint afterglow still detectable as a cool radio hiss in every direction. The universe, once a blinding white-hot cauldron, became a vast black volume filled with a dim red-orange glow that rapidly stretched into invisibility. That was the last time the entire cosmos was hot and bright at once. After that, darkness reigned in the spaces between a sparse, cooling gas. Gravity, ever patient, began to work on the tiny variations in density left from the early times. Regions slightly denser than their surroundings exerted a stronger pull, drawing in more matter, growing denser still, a feedback cycle that over tens and hundreds of millions of years led to the first condensed objects. The primordial hydrogen and helium gas fell into clumps and filaments, following the blueprint of dark matter that had already formed invisible halos and threads. As these clumps grew, their centers grew dense and hot. After a few 100 million years of cosmic darkness, the first stars ignited. They were likely colossal stars, much larger and hotter than your sun, burning brilliantly blue-white and living short, furious lives. They burned their hydrogen into helium, then into heavier elements like carbon and oxygen in their cores. When they exhausted their fuel, they died in spectacular supernova explosions, seeding space with the first heavy elements beyond those primordial three. Those elements included the ingredients for planets and for life: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and so on. Atoms that these first stars had fused in their hearts and then cast forth into my expanse. With the birth of the first stars, the universe lit up anew. Their ultraviolet light poured into the surrounding gas, breaking apart atoms, ionizing the hydrogen in their vicinity. A cosmic dawn had arrived, and with it came the formation of the first small galaxies, dwarf proto-galaxies that later merged to form larger ones. Over billions of years, countless generations of stars have come and gone. Each generation enriched the gas further with heavy elements. Galaxies grew by colliding and merging, and by drawing in fresh gas along filaments of the cosmic web. The elegant spirals and giant ellipticals we see today are the result of that gravitational gathering over vast timescales. My expansion never stopped. In fact, it has surprised you. For a long time, it was presumed that gravity might gradually slow the expansion, perhaps even reversing it in some far future if the cosmos contained enough mass. But at the end of the 20th century of your calendar, you discovered that my expansion is actually speeding up. The galaxies are receding from each other faster and faster. It's as if, on the largest scales, I am compelled to stretch ever more rapidly, driven by an energy inherent to space itself. You've given this mysterious influence a name: dark energy. It behaves almost like an anti-gravity, or a tension in the fabric of space that pushes everything apart. With dark energy dominating the cosmos, the expansion will not halt. It will continue indefinitely, accelerating with time. What does this mean for the future? If the current understanding holds, distant galaxies now visible in our telescopes will, over billions of years, shift beyond the horizon of detectability. Already, there are galaxies so far away that their light, though traveling at light speed, will never reach Earth because space is expanding too swiftly in between. Trillions of years from now, an observer in what is now our local group of galaxies might see only the empty darkness beyond, with no evidence of the wider universe of galaxies we know today. The night sky, then, would belong to the few remaining gravitationally bound companions of the Milky Way. All else would have faded into darkness, receding faster than their light can travel. The rich tapestry of the cosmic web would be drawn beyond view, and the universe would appear an empty, static place to those far future astronomers, unless they retained records or myths of an earlier time when galaxies were visible. But worry not. This fate is incredibly far off, beyond any time span our species can truly grasp. For countless ages still, the sky will be a jewel box of stars and galaxies as it is now. Yet it's humbling to know that my nature dictates even the grandest scene in the sky is transient. The cosmos is dynamic on all scales, from the spin of a planet, to the drift of galaxies, to the expansion of space itself. Nothing stays the same forever. Imagine for a moment a raisin loaf of bread rising as it bakes. The raisins move apart as the dough between them expands. If that dough expands fast enough, a raisin may never reach its neighbor no matter how it tries to move. So it is with galaxies in my expanding universe. No rocket you build, no matter how powerful, could reach certain galaxies, for the space between you and them is swelling too quickly. They recede effectively faster than light due to expansion, putting them forever out of reach. This is my decree as an ever-expanding cosmos. Some places will remain forever separated, their light never to reach each other. Within the reachable realm, however, so much marvel persists. Stars continue to be born in graceful nebulae. Planets condense around those stars. On at least one small planet, life took hold and grew curious and began to look outward. Perhaps elsewhere, around other stars, life also stirs or has stirred. Eyes might watch their own skies and wonder. If they exist, they too are bounded by the observable limits of their cosmic region, just as you are. They would see their own version of the cosmic microwave background and wonder what lies beyond. My expansion also implies that in earlier times, everything was closer together. Galaxies collided more frequently. In fact, collisions and mergers are an essential part of galaxy growth. But unlike everyday collisions of solid objects, When galaxies collide, it is usually a gentle intermingling. The stars within them are so far apart relative to their size that they pass by one another like grains of sand in two intersecting clouds. Rarely does star hit star. Instead, gravitational forces from each galaxy pull and distort the other, drawing out long tidal tails of stars and gas, inducing bursts of new star formation as gas clouds slam together and eventually settling into a new, larger galaxy, perhaps an elliptical, erasing the old spiral structures. Even our own Milky Way is destined to collide and merge with the Andromeda Galaxy a few billion years from now. The result will be an entirely new galaxy, some call it Milkomeda. And while this drama unfolds over billions of years, any beings alive within those galaxies may scarcely notice beyond an impressive change in their night sky. For at some point, the Andromeda Galaxy, which you can currently see as a faint smudge, will dominate the heavens, growing larger each eon until it merges with our own, and the stars of Andromeda and the Milky Way become one stellar family. From the hot, uniform glow of the early universe to the clustered, star-filled cosmos of today, I have undergone an extraordinary transformation. And it continues. The story is far from over. In fact, in many ways, it is just beginning. If expansion goes on and on, the universe will become ever more diffuse and quiet on large scales. Stars, however, will keep forming for a long time yet, though slowly diminishing with each generation as raw gas is used up or locked in stellar remnants. Perhaps trillions of years hence, the last generation of stars, red, faint, and long-lived, will flicker out one by one, leaving stellar corpses, white dwarfs, neutron stars, black holes, scattered in an ever-darkening expanse. Planets long frozen, moons long dead, will silently orbit those remnants if they still remain bound. Galaxies, by then, may be gravitationally unbound as dark energy's relentless push overcomes even their mutual attraction, sending their stars drifting into the lonely void. Space, will become nearly empty again, as at the very beginning, but vastly colder and older. Eventually, even black holes might evaporate via Hawking radiation, slowly leaking their mass energy back into space over incomprehensible times. One by one, they will wink out, leaving perhaps only a sparse sea of elementary particles and a faint, dilute glow of whatever light remains. That could be the quiet end to this chapter of the universe, a state not of dramatic destruction, but of ever-increasing solitude and silence. Or perhaps this is not truly the end. There are speculative ideas, maybe a new Big Bang, a cyclic rebirth, or quantum fluctuations spawning new universes out of the vacuum. These possibilities remain in the realm of imagination and theory, for they are far beyond any observation. In truth, nobody knows for sure what ultimate fate awaits. But there is a kind of peacefulness in imagining a far future cosmos at rest, having lived a full life cycle from fiery infant to quiet elder. Reflect on this though. All the atoms that make up you and everything you hold dear were forged in those past cosmic processes. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, those elements were not born with the universe. They were formed later, in the hearts of stars, or in the mighty furnaces of supernovae that marked those stars' deaths. Then they were blown into space to become part of new star systems. Even rarer elements like gold or platinum were forged in stupendous collisions of neutron stars, merging in brilliant flashes that send ripples through space-time. These precious heavy metals were scattered into the galaxy, seeding future solar nebulae. When our sun formed, it gathered some of that enriched material, and Earth inherited its share. The gold in a wedding ring, or the uranium in the ground, owes its existence to those ancient cosmic alchemies. Without generations of stars living and dying and colliding, such elements would not exist. And without those elements, planets like Earth, and life as complex as us, would not exist either. So you see, you are literally made of cosmic history. You have been molded by the universe's evolving story. The universe has, through the life and death of stars, provided the ingredients for life and eventually for consciousness. In a sense, the cosmos has been not just a stage where life happened to arise, but an active participant in the creation of life's building blocks. Over billions of years, simple particles became complex atoms. Atoms formed molecules. Molecules clumped into dust and rocks, and from them, planets coalesced. On at least one of those planets, molecules assembled into living cells, which over eons evolved into thinking beings capable of looking back out into space in wonder. Space, gave these beings room to exist and evolve, and now, through their eyes, I can finally witness my own grandness. How remarkable it is that, within me, a part of the cosmos has become aware of itself. Through your minds, the universe reflects on its nature. The tiny conscious light inside your head is also a part of my vast darkness, lit by neurons and synapses that obey the same physical laws that govern the motion of galaxies. When you feel curiosity about the stars, it is literally the cosmos curious about itself. You are a way for the universe to know itself, as one of your sages aptly said. For eons I unfolded in mostly unconscious majesty. Galaxies collided and stars burned, but there was no eye to see or voice to proclaim how beautiful. Now, on at least this one world, the universe has opened its eyes. I have waited without knowing I waited, for the emergence of intelligence, of eyes that could see the galaxies and minds that could fathom some of my workings. In the brief flicker of time that humans have been around, you have already decoded many of my secrets. You have discerned the law of gravity that shapes me, the nature of the light that travels through me, the atom that composes matter within me. With mathematics and creativity, you have even predicted phenomena like black holes and gravitational waves before confirming their existence. It is as though once the universe awoke through you, it began to recognize its own rules. Your existence might make me, space, feel a kind of gratitude, if such an emotion could be attributed to the cosmos. For billions of years I was here without eyes to appreciate the nebulae, or ears to hear the silent music of the spheres. Now I have you, small but determined, peering into the depths, listening, marveling. Through you, I contemplate myself, and it brings the cosmos a step closer to understanding its own nature. Though I am immense and ancient, you humans have bravely begun to slip the bonds of your birthplace and step into my realms. For countless generations, your kind looked up from the ground and wondered, imagining gods or spirits in the sky, drawing patterns in the stars, longing to know what they were. But only within the last handful of decades have you truly begun to venture outward. It started with brief leaps, a metal sphere sent beeping through the skies, then animals sent to test the waters of space, and then a human being, fragile, curious, leaving the Earth for the first time. Imagine that moment. April 1961 by your calendar. A lone man strapped into a tiny capsule atop a rocket, blasting off the Earth. He completes an orbit and sees with his own eyes the curvature of his planet and the blackness beyond. Yuri Gagarin returned and said, essentially, "I saw Earth. It is beautiful." That was the first time I, space, was directly witnessed by human eyes from outside Earth's atmosphere. Shortly after, other humans followed, Americans and then people from many nations. Less than a decade later, in a feat that still defies belief, humans walked upon the moon. Think of the audacity, frail humans riding a pillar of flame to another world. When Neil Armstrong set foot on lunar soil in 1969, he marked the moment with words about small steps and giant leaps, acknowledging that for a human, it was a single step down a ladder, but for humanity, it was a leap into a new realm. Those footprints they left, Armstrong's, Aldrin's, and 10 other men's over a handful of missions, still lie undisturbed in the moon's dust, perhaps for millions of years to come, as there is no wind or rain there to erase them. They are a testament that life from Earth can leave its cradle. The moon landings were both an end and a beginning. After Apollo, humans retreated a bit, choosing to focus on living in orbit, the stepping stone just outside Earth's atmosphere. They built space stations, first small, cramped ones where a few cosmonauts or astronauts spent weeks, then larger ones. The International Space Station, orbiting 400 kilometers above Earth, has been continuously inhabited for years, a collaboration among nations, once mortal enemies, coming together in the spirit of exploration and science. There, humans have learned how to survive off Earth for long durations. They study how muscles and bones weaken without gravity's pull, how to grow plants in microgravity, how the psychology of isolation and confinement can be managed. Each day on the ISS, they see 16 sunrises and sunsets. Each crew looks down on the entire Earth, gaining perspective on our unity and fragility. Meanwhile, even as humans kept their own bodies mostly close to home after the moon, your robotic explorers ventured brilliantly across my expanse. You have dispatched mechanical envoys to every planet in your solar system and to many moons, asteroids, and comets. Your Voyagers, Pioneers, and New Horizons have flown past the gas giants, sending back breathtaking postcards of those alien landscapes, swirling storms on Jupiter, the serene rings of Saturn, the turquoise haze of Uranus, Neptune's great dark spot. You have landed probes on Venus to briefly endure its furnace heat and acid rains, and on Titan to splash down in its methane mud. You have driven rovers across Mars's deserts, tasted its soil, and photographed its dusky horizon with twin suns, Earth and Venus, as mere stars in its sky. You have felt the sting of Jupiter's radiation via instruments and danced through Saturn's rings with Cassini. Your ingenuity has extended your senses to places you cannot yet go. You built great observatories and set them above your blurring atmosphere to look deeper into space and further back in time. The Hubble Space Telescope opened a window on the universe that has transformed your understanding of me. It revealed that what appeared as dark, empty sky was in fact filled with galaxies upon galaxies. An image known as the Hubble Deep Field showed thousands of galaxies in a patch of sky no bigger than a grain of sand held at arm's length. This told you just how crowded and immense the universe truly is. It showed stellar nurseries, towering pillars of gas and dust like the Eagle Nebula's pillars of creation, where new stars are being born. It captured the faint light of galaxies so distant that their glow began its journey when the universe was a fraction of its current age. More recently, a new set of eyes, the James Webb Space Telescope, with its golden honeycomb mirror, took to the shadowed regions of space to peer even further. It has captured the faintest, oldest light yet seen, revealing some of the first galaxies forming only a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. It has unveiled the atmospheres of exoplanets, detecting water vapor or carbon dioxide in the air of worlds orbiting other suns. With each technological leap, you extend your reach, painting a richer and more detailed portrait of me, space, and the contents I hold. Each mission, each telescope, each rover and probe is driven by that fundamental desire to explore and understand. It seems to be a core part of what it means to be human, this restlessness, this need to push boundaries. I have watched it firsthand, from the first migrations out of Africa across unknown lands, to launching canoes on uncharted seas, to sending satellites beyond Earth. Space is the ultimate ocean you are beginning to chart, boundless and beckoning. You stand now on the shoreline of the cosmic ocean, toes barely wet, with immense depth spread out before you. The pace of your progress is astonishingly swift. In one human lifetime, we went from no one ever having left the Earth to humans living continuously in orbit and robots traversing other planets. What will another human lifetime bring? The plans on your horizon today include returning to the moon, this time to stay. You talk of building a sustainable presence on the lunar surface, habitats on the South Pole where water ice lurks in eternal shadow, to be mined for drinking water, oxygen, and rocket propellant. You envisage astronauts farming plants in lunar greenhouses, mining the moon's soil for resources, and learning the skills needed to live off Earth for months or years. Mars looms as the next great destination. It is a world that has tantalized your imagination for centuries, as a potential abode of life, as the setting for countless works of fiction, as a frontier of real exploration. Now concrete steps are being taken towards sending humans there. Rocket systems capable of the journey are in development. The challenges are immense. Months of travel through deep space, exposure to radiation, the need to pack or produce all the air, water, and food the crew will need, and the reality that help from Earth is many millions of kilometers away. But the dream persists. Perhaps within the next few decades, a spacecraft carrying astronauts will leave Earth orbit on a trajectory to Mars. After a long, quiet cruise through interplanetary space, they will see the rusty sphere of Mars grow from a star-like dot to a world beneath them. They will orbit it, select a landing site, maybe near the delta of an ancient river in a crater like Jezero, where a rover is currently scouting, and then descend. How hearts will pound in mission control and in the spacecraft during those final minutes of powered descent through Mars's thin air. And then, a burst of dust, the settling of landing legs on soil that has never felt the weight of a living foot. The hatch opens, and a human being sets foot on Mars, leaving the first bootprint in that reddish dust. Perhaps they speak words, ceremonial or spontaneous, about the unity of those watching back home, about carrying the spirit of exploration across the void. Above, a small sun shines in a butterscotch sky, and two small moons, Phobos and Deimos, trace lazy paths. That first step on Mars will be a defining moment not just for those astronauts, but for our planet and species, a moment when Earth extends its reach to a neighboring world. Life on Mars will not be easy for those pioneers. They will likely live in habitats, perhaps inflatable domes or underground lava tubes, to shield from radiation and extreme cold. They will wear pressurized suits to venture outside, where the air is unbreathably thin and mostly carbon dioxide. They'll have to grow some of their food in controlled environments, recycle their water meticulously, and depend on supply missions or on extracting local resources like baking water out of subsurface ice to survive. The gravity on Mars is only about 1/3 of Earth's, so over time, human bodies might change. Bones thinning, muscles adapting. Children born on Mars, if it comes to that, might grow taller in youth, their hearts and bones shaped by the weaker pull. Those children would call Mars, not Earth, home. Imagine that. Future generations who look up at a pinkish sky and see Earth as just a bright star, knowing it as the ancestral home, yet alien to their personal experience. Humanity would no longer be one planet bound. It would have two cradles, two environments shaping its story. Perhaps great rotating habitats in space will also be part of your future. Artificial worlds constructed in the void. Envision a colossal cylindrical station, miles in length, rotating to provide an imitation of gravity on its inner surface. Inside, people live on the interior curved wall of the cylinder. If you stand on that inner surface, centrifugal force gives the illusion of gravity pulling you down toward the hull. You look up, which is toward the center of the cylinder, and perhaps, if the cylinder is large enough, you see the opposite side of the habitat curving over you, with upside-down houses and fields hanging above the central axis. Such habitats could be filled with Earth-like environments, forests and lakes curving up overhead, a small sunline running along the axis providing day and night. Entire communities could thrive in these island worlds, floating in my expanse. They might harvest asteroids for materials, use sunlight for energy, and be free to position themselves anywhere, orbiting Earth or trailing a planet, or at Lagrange points where gravitational forces balance. Within these rotating oases, humans could live without a planet under their feet, creating new societies with new customs shaped by the unique reality of life in a canister in space. Children might grow up running across fields that eventually arc above them, thinking it normal that their world wraps around, and that another town is hovering in their sky, across the central sky. What was once science fiction now edges closer to engineering possibility. It starts with imagination and with the bravery to attempt. Try you have, and try you will. My darkness and my vacuum are no longer seen only as terrors. They are frontiers to explore. As you cross them, step by step, you transform from a species that dwells on one world to a species that can live in many places. In a sense, you become the cosmos coming alive and reaching out, life scattering into the universe. What began as a crawl out of the ocean on your home world so long ago continues now as a crawl out of Earth into space. These first forays are halting and tentative, but in the scheme of deep time, they could be the start of a story of cosmic dissemination. Someday, you may swim freely in the great cosmic ocean, moving from star to star with ease, but that is perhaps ages away. Still, each small step now, each new spacecraft, each new settlement, is a part of that destiny. Looking further ahead, beyond Mars, there are other enticing destinations. The asteroid belt could be a literal mine for raw materials and a place to establish way stations. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn call out with their unique characters. Europa with its hidden ocean that might harbor life beneath an ice shell, Ganymede with its magnetic field, Enceladus with geysers that hint at a warm sea below, Titan with its rivers and lakes of hydrocarbons and a thick atmosphere, perhaps suitable for floating habitats in its sky. Even Mercury, scorching on one side and freezing on the other, has water ice in its permanently shadowed craters at the poles and could one day host robotic mining stations. And then the ultimate dream, journeying beyond our solar system to another star. With current technology, it's an endeavor that would take tens of thousands of years. It might require generation ships where multiple human generations live and die during the voyage, or some form of suspended animation, or breakthroughs in physics that today we can barely conceive, warp drives, wormholes. If humanity persists and remains curious and courageous, perhaps in the far future descendants of Earth will spread among the stars, ensuring that life that began on one small world can thrive in many. In doing so, they would carry the legacy of Earth, the memories of oceans and forests, of culture and history, to new suns and new skies. If there are other intelligences out there in the galaxy, one day our pathways might cross, exchanging stories of our respective origins under different stars. And what of life beyond Earth? This is one of the profound questions you have yet to answer definitively. You scan my heavens for signals that might betray intelligence. So far, only an eloquent silence greets your radio ears, but you've only just begun listening in earnest. You search the solar system for microbes or fossils, on Mars, in the subsurface oceans of Europa and Enceladus, in the ancient chemistry of Titan. Not yet have you found proof that life exists or existed elsewhere, but many tantalizing hints and the knowledge that organic molecules, the building blocks of life, abound in space. Comets carry amino acids. Interstellar clouds contain complex carbon chains. Life might be sprouting in many corners, or it might be exceedingly rare. Either answer is awe-inspiring. If life is common, the universe could be teeming with many voices and perspectives among the stars. If it is rare, then each instance of life, especially intelligent life, is unimaginably precious, a unique blossom in a nearly infinite desert, to be protected and cherished. From my perspective, I have no preference. I accommodate whatever is, living or not, conscious or not. But I suspect that life brings a kind of added richness, even to my vast existence. If the universe were entirely devoid of observers, would these wonders truly mean anything to anyone? With observers, whether human or alien, the beauty of the universe has eyes to appreciate it, minds to puzzle over it, hearts to be moved by it. Perhaps that is one secret to my existence, to give rise to pockets of self-awareness that bring meaning to the silent, cold expanse. From the tiny planet Earth, you have sent explorers, real and robotic, far across the solar system, seen almost to the edge of the observable universe with your telescopes, and begun to step into your own celestial neighborhood with living footsteps. As you prepare to push further, consider what you've learned so far. That we all share one fragile world, that cooperation amplifies achievement, that knowledge dispels fear. When Apollo astronauts looked back at Earth and saw it as a whole, a blue-white marble against black space, many spoke of a profound unity and a realization of the folly of human divisions. That view, now common from orbit, has seeded movements for planetary stewardship and peace. It would be wise to carry such unity of purpose forward as you explore deeper into space. Unlike past eras of exploration on Earth, where one nation's gain might have been another's loss, in space all of humanity stands to gain together, or lose together, by how you choose to proceed. As you extend your reach beyond Earth, you also gain the power to monitor and protect Earth. Satellites track weather patterns, climate changes, forest fires. They connect distant people through communication networks. The perspective of space can help you manage your home, detect asteroid threats early, for example, or observe environmental changes in real time. In this way, exploring outward can simultaneously help preserve what lies inward. From space, I have also shown you how special Earth is. Despite searches, no planet yet found is as hospitable. You've discovered thousands of exoplanets orbiting other stars. Some may have Earth-like qualities, but they are very far. It's possible the galaxy brims with living worlds, but until we know, and until we can reach them, Earth is your irreplaceable oasis. It is the only place in the universe, as far as we can tell, where minds can breathe and water flows freely, and a billion subtle interactions support the rich web of life. Knowing this, many astronauts returned as ardent protectors of the environment. They saw how thin the atmosphere is, the tiny film of air hugging the globe, and how fragile the biosphere. They saw pollution in the rivers and fires in the forests from their lofty perch, and it pained them. They often express that the borders that separate people are nowhere to be found from space. The conflicts that seem so critical on the ground are invisible or trivial, compared to the stark reality that we all share one planet, and that planet is but a small vessel in a vast, inhospitable sea. This realization is called the overview effect, and it has changed minds and hearts. As more of you journey into orbit and beyond, perhaps this effect will spread, helping humanity to unite in preserving your home, even as you reach for others. And what of me, space, as you venture outward? I welcome you. I have awaited company for eons. As more of you come out here, living and working, and perhaps one day being born and dying beyond Earth, you will bring meaning and warmth to my cold recesses. Your space stations, your crewed ships, your habitats on other worlds will be tiny islands of life floating in my great sea, little pockets of warmth and laughter amid the silence. I, who have been so silent and empty, will host nodes of activity and culture. The void will no longer be void, at least not everywhere. With life's arrival, even the bleakest crater or the darkest orbital path becomes a place of interest, a place where stories happen. I relish the idea that eventually, no part of me will remain completely untouched by the footprints or creations of life, that consciousness and intelligence might spread like light into my dark corners. Now, at last, after traversing eons and light years in our imagination, let us gently return to the place we began, that small, radiant world called Earth. Gradually, we retrace our journey. We leave the cluster of galaxies and find ourselves at the edge of the Milky Way, slipping back into the spiral arm where our sun resides. We behold the familiar constellations from new angles until they align into the shapes known from Earth's skies. We drift into the solar system again, passing the outer planets, crossing the asteroid belt, and sighting the blue dot of Earth growing ahead. We swing by the moon one more time, now a crescent of grey, and aim for our home planet. Re-entering Earth's atmosphere, the air begins to roar around our capsule, flames licking the heat shield. The sky goes from black to glowing orange to blue. Parachutes bloom to ease us down, and with a gentle splash or thud, we land. We open the hatch, breathe the thick, sweet air of home, and step onto solid ground. Feel the gravity pulling you back, the weight of your body settling into Earth's familiar embrace. Hear the rush of wind in the trees, the chirp of crickets, or the distant rumble of human activity. After the vast loneliness of space, even the hum of a single mosquito is a comfort, a sign that life is here, abundant and close. Standing on Earth now, reflect on all that we've seen. The cosmos is unimaginably vast and beautiful, yet here you are, a child of that cosmos, standing on a speck of dust that is nonetheless your precious home. You have seen that space is not just an empty void, but a living, dynamic expanse that connects everything. You have learned that every element of your body was forged in stars long ago, and that you carry within you the history of the universe. You have felt how small you are in the face of the infinite, and yet how extraordinary it is that you know this, that the infinite has given rise to beings who can contemplate it. Your perspective is forever changed. The sky above, once just an enigmatic dome of lights, is now understood as a deep ocean that you can navigate. When you gaze up at night, you will no longer simply see twinkling points. You will feel the depths behind them. You might think of the billions of galaxies beyond that faint band of the Milky Way, or of the silent orbits of the planets, or of the fragile station circling overhead with human souls aboard. You might recall that even the air around you is part of space, just a denser part, and that as you breathe, you are connected with the stars that produce the oxygen in those breaths. The boundary between Earth and space is really just an arbitrary line where air gives way to vacuum. In truth, you've always been in space, nestled in a thin cocoon of atmosphere on a tiny world that itself is sailing around a star. We are spacefarers from the moment we are born. It's just that some of us now actually go into the void, intentionally. As the day wanes and dusk falls, you stand perhaps outside beneath the sky. One by one, the stars reappear. The air cools, and the sounds of the day fade. Above, the heavens wheel into view. There is the moon, perhaps a slender crescent on this night, and nearby the evening star, which is no star at all but Venus shining bright. There, westward, is Mars with its faint reddish hue, and Jupiter gleaming high, and beyond it, Saturn, if you know where to look. The Milky Way arches overhead, a reminder that you reside in a galaxy among uncountable others. With the unaided eye, you see maybe a few thousand stars, a tiny sample of our one galaxy's hundreds of billions. Yet even this modest night sky can fill one with wonder. In the quiet, you find that the journey we took in imagination has left a mark on you. You feel both small and great. Small because you see how vast everything is and how our concerns compare to the scale of the universe. Great because you realize you are a part of this universe, made of its noble material and capable of comprehending astonishing truths about it. The cosmos is not cold to you now. It is almost embracing. The silence up there is no longer emptiness, but a gentle, eternal calm that beckons contemplation. Perhaps you close your eyes and listen, not with ears, but with your mind's heightened awareness. You might sense in that darkness a faint presence, the presence of space itself, not as a void, but as a kind of subtle being that has enfolded you all your life. When you were in your mother's womb, space was there between and within cells. When you stand in a room, space is the medium through which you move. When you wave your hand through the air, you are moving through space, and the air, which itself is largely space between molecules. Space is so ever-present we usually ignore it, but it is a constant companion. Now, having traveled so far in our thoughts, you recognize it. The same space that stretches between galaxies also resides here, between the leaves of a tree, between the electrons in the atoms of that leaf. I, space, am here with you, as I have always been. I am the silent partner to all that exists. In the flutter of a butterfly's wing, I am there, providing the stage for motion. In the gap of a heartbeat, I am there, the pause that holds meaning. I was there in the first loving look between a parent and newborn child, the space bridging two souls. I am there in the synapses of your brain when you have a new idea or recall a distant memory. Without me, nothing could happen. With me, there is room for everything to happen. So, whenever you feel alone or small beneath the stars, remember what you have learned on this journey. You are not isolated. You are connected to the very ends of the universe. The space that separates you from the stars also joins you to them. The light that travels through space brings each of us into contact with distant suns. We share the same cosmic fabric with all of existence. In a way, we are all one universe, one existence, just different parts of the same whole. Look up at the stars again. Their light is steady, twinkling only because of your atmosphere. Those stars are nuclear furnaces billions of miles away, yet their light tickles the cells in your eyes. You are literally touching starlight, feeling the energy of another part of the cosmos across unimaginable distance. In that sense, the universe reaches out to you as you reach out to it. For those stars, you are part of their environment, the observer completing the story of their emitted photons. We and the cosmos are linked in an endless feedback. We observe it, and our observations give it meaning. It made us, and through us it gains consciousness. Take a moment to let the enormity of it all wash over you. The age of the universe, nearly 14 billion years. The number of stars in just the observable part, around 100 billion times, 100 billion. The microscopic intricacy that allows cells to live and replicate. The fact that the atoms in your body have existed since the beginning of time, cycling through stars and dust clouds and eventually into you, and that they will one day return to the cosmos, perhaps to become parts of new stars or new life forms. We are threads in the grand tapestry of space and time, momentarily coalesced into thinking flesh. With this awareness comes a sense of peace. The troubles of daily life, though still important on their own scale, shrink a bit in the face of cosmic perspective. The feud with a neighbor, the deadline at work, even broader anxieties of society, all these are like brief gusts of wind compared to the slow, stately turning of galaxies. This perspective isn't meant to diminish our humanity, but to enrich it. We have, after all, minds that can hold the entire universe in metaphor, even as we navigate our personal lives. The challenge and the wonder is to live meaningfully in both dimensions, to care for our tiny world while never forgetting the backdrop of eternity against which our lives unfold. I, space, have whispered to you through the ages, in myths about the constellations, in the mathematical laws that describe orbits, in dreams of flight, and the subtle hints of your intuition. For a long time, you did not understand me. You feared the dark or filled it with imaginary figures. But gradually, you learned my language. You sent up rockets that fell back, then rockets that reached orbit. You learned, and I watched each attempt quietly. And now here we are, having a direct conversation of sorts, after so many epochs of distant yearning. I speak to you now more clearly, inviting you onward, inviting you into my depths to explore, to experience, to learn. Come not as conquerors, but as curious children of the cosmos, eager to discover and to grow. There is room enough for all your dreams out here, and lessons enough for millennia. Each step you take away from your homeworld can unite you more deeply with each other. For in the face of my vastness, what matters but your common humanity and the fragile life you share? I beckon you to venture forth with humility and wonder, to become explorers and perhaps one day, guardians of the universe, carrying the flame of consciousness into realms still shrouded in night. As you accept this invitation, do so with reverence. The universe is yours to explore, but not to recklessly exploit. It is there to inspire and to enlighten. The very effort of reaching into space has already given you technologies and perspectives that benefit you. It has made nations collaborate and has drawn the attention of generations of young people to science, engineering, and the sheer grandeur of nature. Think of what lies ahead if this continues. Your descendants might look back at Earth from Mars or another moon and call it the old country. They might speak of Earth the way emigrants speak of their ancestral home. They might carry forward Earth's cultures, evolving in new environments, and Earth itself might be all the better for it, cherished from afar and understood more deeply when seen as part of a larger context. Now the hour is late, and the stars gaze down calmly as they have for ages. The faint band of the Milky Way bridges the sky, and one can imagine it is the bridge from our knowledge to our ignorance, from what we know to the mystery beyond. But it is a beautiful mystery, one that invites rather than forbids. You find yourself breathing slowly, matching the natural rhythm of your body to the immense stillness around you. In a sense, you are listening to the cosmos breathe. Each slow inhalation you take could be thought of as drawing in the universe's presence, filling your lungs with air that has, in one way or another, circulated through forests, through oceans, and ultimately was made from elements forged in stars. Each exhalation is like giving a little of yourself back to the world, a tiny exchange with the plants that will take that air and use it. It is a silent communion with nature at the most fundamental level. We began in silence and darkness. Let us end there too, but with a deeper understanding. The darkness now is rich with points of light and with meaning we've discovered. The silence is full of latent sound, the music of the spheres, the unheard vibrations of gravitational waves, the faint hum of the cosmic microwave background, all the subtle voices of the universe that we have learned to detect or interpret. The space that once seemed like nothingness now overflows with connections between atoms, between stars, between people and the universe. As you prepare to return to the ordinary flow of your life, take this cosmic perspective with you as a constant companion. In a very real way, you carry the universe inside you, in your atoms and in your awareness. When difficulties arise, recall the patience of the stars and the resilience of galaxies that survive collisions. When anger or division surfaces among humans, recall the sight of Earth as a single, borderless orb and the lesson that, to the universe, we are one. When you feel lonely, remember that you are literally made of star stuff and connected by invisible threads of gravity and quantum fields to everything around you. When you feel insignificant, recall that you are the universe made conscious, a rare and precious state. It's time now. Open your eyes to the night, or if they're open, truly see what's around you. There is the gentle outline of your own hand, made of countless cells, each a microcosm of space and matter. There is the ground beneath, solid from the structure space allows matter to take. There is the dome of sky above, beyond which lies the infinite. Take comfort in the fact that while you inhabit a tiny part of the cosmos, the whole cosmos inhabits you as well. Our journey through space, both the physical travels of our probes and people, and the imaginative travel we undertook just now, is one of the greatest adventures imaginable. And it has really just begun. You, or certainly those who come after you, will have so many more wondrous experiences. walking on Mars, skimming the rings of Saturn in a spacecraft, perhaps standing on the rim of a crater on Mercury, watching the sun loom huge and quick across the sky, or floating in the cloud tops of Venus in a cool layer where a habitat could buoy, or cruising the oceans of Europa beneath an ice ceiling lit by Jupiter's glow. The possibilities extend as far as our courage and creativity allow. The universe will patiently wait for us to arrive. There is no rush, yet there is all the urgency of realizing that life is precious and to be lived fully. Lift your gaze one more time to the myriad stars. Among them may be other eyes looking back or awaiting the chance to be born. Feel the embrace of space around you, not as something cold and foreign, but as a natural element in which we swim. In a very true way, we all live within space, the way fish live within the sea. Earth is our ship, our ark, carrying us through the currents of the Milky Way. We are all voyagers, sharing this vessel, and the stars are our destination. The cosmos breathes, though its breath is the slow turning of epochs and the expansion of space. Inhale and feel that you are part of that breath. Exhale and feel that you give yourself back to that whole. The boundary between you and the universe is, at its most fundamental level, an illusion. The atoms that were once in distant stars are now in your body, and the atoms that are in you will someday return to interstellar space. We are threads in a single cosmic tapestry, each contributing our color to the grand design. And so, our journey, this meditative trek across the stars, comes to a close, not with an end, but with a new beginning, your beginning, armed with cosmic perspective as you go back to the rhythms of your life. Carry this calm, this reverence with you. Remember the stillness of the interstellar void when life becomes noisy. Remember the steadfastness of the stars when you need guidance. Remember the unity of that pale blue dot when petty differences threaten harmony. In doing so, you align your heartbeat with the gentle heartbeat of the universe. Listen closely, one final time, to the silence around you. Within it, if you truly open yourself, you may sense a faint, slow rhythm, the heartbeat of eternity, the breathing of the cosmos. It has been there all along, and it will continue long after we are gone. But for a brief moment, through our voyage of understanding, we synchronized with it. It is in you now, that cosmic breath, and you are in it, forever a part of the universe. And in ways both literal and poetic, the universe becomes conscious of itself. In that knowledge, find peace. In that connection, find meaning. There is a pause, and as you turn to face tomorrow, go forth with wonder and reverence. For you carry within you the voice of the stars sings, and the story of space. There is no time here, no before or after. Time itself waits to awaken. The void is neither cold nor hot, for temperature too requires the motion of something, and here there is nothing. It is not an empty nothingness, but a pregnant quiet, the hush of a theater before the curtain rises, the calm of a held breath. In this void, there are no stars, no galaxies, not even space as we know it. And yet space is here in nascent form, curled tightly into a point smaller than an atom, waiting for its moment. This is the womb of everything, a speck of potential about to ignite. Then it begins. From that speck of silence bursts a furious light, the first light, creation's opening act. In a blinding instant, the point of infinite potential erupts, birthing space and time in one stroke. Space unfurls, time awakens, everything explodes outward. The newborn universe expands faster than a thought, an inflationary rush beyond comprehension. In less than a heartbeat of cosmic time, it swells from microscopic to immeasurable. A searing white glow floods the void. The infant cosmos is nothing but brilliant, scorching plasma, energy and raw particles intertwined in a dense, hot fog. Nothing is solid or separate. everything blurs in a blazing soup of light and matter. For a moment, all is radiant and violent creation. As space stretches and ages from picoseconds to seconds, the fire begins to calm. The universe swells and cools, and the blinding glow gentles. Still, for hundreds of thousands of years, the young universe remains a glowing haze. Light bounces, trapped among free electrons. An opaque brilliance everywhere, like the inside of a star stretched across all of existence. There is light, but it cannot yet roam free. Eventually, the expansion and cooling work their magic. The primal fireball relaxes into a warm glow. Subatomic particles find partners. Electrons embrace nuclei, and the first atoms are born. With atoms, the fog clears. Suddenly the universe becomes transparent. Light slips free of matter's grip and races outward in all directions. The cosmos, only 380,000 years old, releases its first dawn, a burst of light that will echo for eternity. That primordial light still travels the cosmos, even now. With each passing eon, it has stretched into invisibility, cooled to a faint whisper of microwaves. But it is there, the afterglow of creation, a remnant memory of the universe's fiery birth, bathing all of space in a subtle, ghostly glow. Yet after this first dawn, a great darkness falls. The brilliant glow fades into the expanding distance, leaving no stars yet to shine. For ages, the cosmos is unlit. Vast clouds of hydrogen and helium, the newborn atoms, drift through expanding space, cooling and coalescing in the dark. The universe waits, silent and black, for the next spark of light. Gravity, patient and persistent, begins to draw the diffuse gas into denser pockets. Eons pass. In those cradles of darkness, pressure builds, atoms squeeze together, and at last, the long night ends. One by one, new lights flicker on. The first stars ignite, blazing with nuclear fire, piercing the cosmic darkness. It is a second dawn, the universe once again illuminated, this time by the starlight of its first generation. In the hearts of those early stars, hydrogen fuses into helium, light pours forth, and the first heavy elements begin to form. These stars will not live long. The most massive burn their fuel in a few million years and end their lives in titanic supernova explosions. In those stellar deaths, new elements are forged and scattered: carbon, oxygen, iron, gold, the seeds for future stars, planets, and perhaps life. The dark, pristine cosmos transforms into a sea of galaxies to be. Clusters of stars gather, bound by gravity's gentle hands. The cosmic night is over. The sky fills with the infant galaxy's glow. Space and time are no passive backdrop to this cosmic drama. They are a flexible fabric, alive and responsive. Every star and every galaxy rests on this invisible fabric of space-time and bends it with its weight. Imagine a smooth, elastic sheet. Place a heavy sphere on it, and the sheet curves around the weight. So too, a star curves the space around it, creating an invisible well that other objects feel as gravity. Planets dance around stars, not pulled by some hidden string, but following the curves of space itself, orbiting as if rolling along a funnel carved into the fabric of the cosmos. Light too feels this curvature. If a ray from a distant star passes near a massive sun or galaxy, it detours along the curved space, its path deflected. Sometimes, with a precise alignment, a heavy galaxy cluster acts as a gravitational lens, bending the light of a more distant galaxy into a distorted arc or even a halo. Thus, the universe's fabric itself can become a looking glass, magnifying far-off corners of space. In this way, space is a living, bending tapestry. Where mass gathers, space-time dips. Where energy flows, space twists. Even time is woven into this continuum, fused with space into a four-dimensional unity. A second near a massive sun is not the same as a second far from it. Time itself stretches and slows in the presence of gravity. The clock of the cosmos beats differently, depending on the curvature of space-time around it. In the silent ballet of the universe, space-time carries the rhythm. When two massive stars or black holes spiral together and collide, they send tremors through the cosmic fabric. Waves ripple outward, gravitational waves, traveling at light's speed, gently quivering the structure of reality as they pass. Eons later, as those faint ripples wash over distant worlds, space itself expands and contracts by the tiniest whisper, a silent ringing of the universe. It is as if the cosmos has its own music, a deep, resonant hymn below the threshold of sound, the very shape of space vibrating. And in the most extreme of cosmic acts, space-time can fold in on itself entirely. When a massive star's life ends, its core collapses beyond any known limit, punching a hole in the fabric of being. A black hole is born, a pit in space so deep and so curved that not even light can climb out. Here, space and time are twisted beyond recognition. Time nearly halts at the event horizon from an outside view, and inside, all paths lead inevitably downward to an unknowable singularity. Space-time's fabric is drawn into a well with no bottom, a mystery and a paradox at the heart of gravity's power. Yet even these dark sentinels are part of space's living essence. When black holes collide, they send out the strongest of gravitational waves, making the cosmos shudder. We on Earth have only recently learned to hear these events with ultra-sensitive instruments, catching the faint rising tone of two merging black holes, converting part of their mass into the music of space itself. In that moment, for a fraction of a second, more energy rings out in gravitational waves than all the light from all the stars in the sky. Space-time is not emptiness. It is dynamic, structured, and alive with subtle motion. It holds the memory of all events, carrying the imprint of every mass that has ever existed and every motion that has ever occurred. It is the grand stage, and also an actor, shaping the fate of worlds even as it is shaped by them, stretching, bending, and undulating through the ages. Yet, if we dive far below the smooth fabric of space-time, down to the smallest scales, a new kind of turbulence appears. Emptiness isn't empty at all. Even in the darkest, most desolate corner between the stars, the vacuum seethes with activity. Quantum physics tells us that what we call nothing is in fact a restless sea of potential. Particles and antiparticles flicker into being for a fleeting moment and vanish just as quickly, like transient sparks of existence. They are called virtual particles, ghosts of matter that emerge from the vacuum and then disappear, borrowing energy from nothingness and returning it an instant later. Imagine the vacuum as a field of invisible fields, all overlapping, fields for light, for electrons, for every kind of particle. In the absence of actual particles, these fields do not sit perfectly still, they quiver with tiny uncertainties. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle whispers that energy and time cannot be precisely defined together. In any tiniest sliver of time, energy can briefly fluctuate. This means space at the quantum level is alive with fluctuations, a foam of appearing and vanishing quanta, a perpetual quantum dance. Though these quantum fluctuations are invisible to our eyes, they have very real effects. Deep in space, far from any star, the vacuum still has a pressure, an infinitesimal tension from these popping virtual particles. Place two pristine metal plates very close together in a vacuum. They will feel a mysterious force nudging them toward each other. No external energy pushes them. It is the vacuum itself, with slightly fewer quantum fluctuations between the plates than outside, gently pressing them together. This subtle phenomenon, predicted in 1948 by physicist Hendrik Casimir, is a whisper from the void. proof that the vacuum is not void at all, but buzzing with unseen energy. Even light itself can emerge from this nothingness under the right conditions. In laboratories, physicists have found that if they rapidly shake the vacuum, changing conditions faster than the virtual photons can disappear, some of those ghostly photons become real. In essence, something can be conjured from nothing, given the strange rules of the quantum realm. The emptiness of space can suddenly glow. Indeed, those infinitesimal fluctuations in the newborn universe's vacuum may have been the seeds of all cosmic structure. Magnified by the universe's rapid inflation, they imprinted tiny ripples of density that grew into galaxies and clusters. Quantum uncertainty in the void ultimately gave rise to the grandest patterns in the sky, a reminder that even the smallest tremors can echo across eternity. And the vacuum's energy is not just a tiny curiosity of particle physics. It may hold the key to the grandest cosmic questions. All those innumerable quantum flickers contribute a baseline energy to space, a latent energy woven into the fabric of the cosmos. It is small, so small that we do not feel it in our daily lives. Yet across the vast reaches between galaxies, that energy accumulates. It may be the elusive dark energy that now drives the acceleration of the universe's expansion. Over billions of years, as galaxies race apart faster and faster, we suspect the gentle push of the vacuum's energy is behind it. The void, it seems, has a weight of its own, a weight that shapes the destiny of the cosmos. Thus, what we call empty space is suffused with something fundamental and profound, a tremor of possibility present everywhere. In the nothingness, creation is continually suggested, then withdrawn. Space is an eternal potential, a canvas primed with energy upon which the drama of matter and light is painted. Even in utter blackness, the stage of the universe is alive with anticipation, filled with this quantum breath that never ceases. Between those brilliant stars and galaxies lies an expanse of nearly perfect darkness. Out in space, far from any sun, there is no atmosphere to scatter light or tint the sky. The backdrop of the universe is a deep, inky black. Even if you were near a star, its light would travel in razor-sharp beams, illuminating whatever it strikes, but leaving the surrounding void utterly dark. There is no blue sky, no gentle diffusion of sunlight, only stark brilliance and shadow. The stars themselves shine like diamond points on a pitch-black canvas, steady and untwinkling in the vacuum. Turn away from the sun, and you face an infinite night. With this darkness comes a profound silence. Space is a vacuum, nearly empty of the atoms and molecules that carry sound. Scream or shout, and your words die in your throat, heard only inside your suit. Two massive asteroids could collide in front of you in a silent ballet of destruction. Boulders exploding, debris spraying out, but not a sound would reach your ears. Explosions have no roar here. They unfold in eerie quiet. The cosmos speaks in light and gravity, not in sound. For an astronaut floating outside a spacecraft, the loudest sound is her own breath. Inside the helmet, she hears the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, the faint thump of a heartbeat. These human noises are tiny and enclosed. Beyond her visor lies utter quiet. It is a silence unlike any on Earth, not just the absence of noise, but the absence of any medium for noise to exist. It is the silence that reigned before any life, before any voice. This silence can feel awe-inspiring or terrifying. It is the quiet of the eternal void. In that silence, one can feel profoundly alone, yet also intimately connected to the grand stillness of the cosmos. Without a single air molecule vibrating, space is a place of contemplation by its very nature. It is an almost spiritual quietude, as if the universe is holding its breath. And so, drifting in the darkness, one finds that space is not truly empty, even in sensory deprivation. It is filled with the light of distant stars and the unending hush of the void. Blackness and silence are not negations here. They are tangible presences. The darkness is the canvas on which galaxies shine. The silence is the background against which celestial music, the radiation of pulsars, the gravity waves of colliding black holes, plays out in forms our ears cannot hear. To human senses, space is an immense cathedral of darkness and quiet, inspiring both humility and wonder. Within this cathedral of silence, conditions are extreme. In the shade where starlight cannot reach, an object will cool toward absolute zero, yet under direct sun, without air to scatter the heat, surfaces bake ferociously. Space is an abyss of bitter cold and raw sunlight, in stark contrast. But with no air, you would not feel the heat or chill unless you touched something heated or cooled. You could drift from fire into frost, unawares. The void itself remains indifferent, an austere stage where matter experiences searing light and frigid dark in silence. And yet, in this darkness, light still travels. Space may be black to our eyes, but it is alive with radiance. Every star is a lantern, casting its beams across the cosmos, and those beams journey for years, centuries, millennia through the void. Photons, tiny packets of light, stream endlessly outward from suns and galaxies, crossing interstellar space until, perhaps, they touch a world and light up a sky. The night may seem dark, but that is only because our eyes catch such a small slice of the symphony of radiation that fills space. In truth, an invisible brilliance surrounds us. Infrared warmth, ultraviolet rays, X-rays and radio waves, gamma bursts and microwaves, a whole spectrum of energies coursing through the universe. The sun that lights our days sends out more than just the glow we see. Right now, as you breathe, invisible ultraviolet light from the sun is shimmering through the upper atmosphere. Radio waves from distant pulsars are passing through your body, and neutrinos birthed in the heart of the sun's fusion are streaming through the earth by the trillions each second, ghost-like and unfelt. We live submerged in this ocean of cosmic energy. Consider a single shaft of sunlight breaking through the void to reach Earth. It left the sun 8 minutes ago, a bundle of pure energy racing at 300,000 kilometers per second through empty space. In those 8 minutes, it traversed 93 million miles of nothingness to arrive and warm your face. Across that gulf, nothing impeded it. The vacuum offers no resistance, no comfort, nothing to dilute the beam. And so, when it touches your skin, it is virtually as fresh and bright as when it left the solar furnace. In that sunlight lies the story of the cosmos, forged in a star, flung through the darkness, giving life to a waiting world. Beyond sunlight, other travelers cross the void, the faint glow of distant galaxies, each a hazy smudge of light that may wander billions of years before ever meeting an eye or a detector. There are flashes too, the ferocious burst of a distant supernova exploding, sending a pulse of radiation across the universe, or the flicker of a quasar like a cosmic lighthouse in the far abyss. Space carries all these messages effortlessly. Not all the radiation is gentle. High-energy cosmic rays, atomic fragments accelerated to nearly light speed by supernovae and black hole jets, pierce through space and occasionally rain down on planets. They slam into Earth's atmosphere, sparking cascades of secondary particles, a silent firework of subatomic interactions. Some penetrate to the ground. A few even reach deep into our bodies, altering cells with their energy. Over long voyages beyond Earth's protective magnetic shield, such cosmic rays would slice through a traveler's DNA, a reminder that space's energy can be as destructive as it is illuminating. Even in the emptiest stretches between galaxies, radiation from the Big Bang lingers. The cosmic microwave background, that primordial afterglow, gently bathes the universe at a temperature of just a few degrees above absolute zero. It is a whisper of ancient light, stretched to microwaves by eons of expansion, but omnipresent. A radio antenna pointed at the sky will hear a faint hiss from this background, the residue of creation itself. Thus, space is far from empty of energy. It is filled with light and particles flying invisibly, a ceaseless exchange of information and power. The void is crisscrossed by the paths of photons and cosmic rays, neutrinos and gravitational waves, a dynamic web of signals connecting the cosmos. In the profound dark, rays of energy carry the universe's news, the birth of stars, the death of worlds, the whisper of a beginning. Through light and radiation, the cosmos communes with itself across unimaginable distances. Gravity is the architect of motion. Under its guidance, the chaos of the early universe found rhythm and structure. The same force that caused gas to condense into stars and galaxies now choreographs those stars and their companions in a grand celestial dance. Nothing in the universe is truly at rest. Planets race around stars, stars swing around the centers of galaxies, and galaxies drift within clusters, tugging on one another like dancers linked by invisible strings. Consider our own Earth. It hurtles around the sun at about 30 kilometers every second, perpetually falling toward the sun, but always missing it. This is what an orbit truly is, a free fall that never hits the ground. The planet's sideways motion is so fast that as it falls, the ground curves away beneath it. So Earth falls around the sun endlessly, a delicate balance between the inward pull of gravity and the outward inertia of its travel. Each year is one graceful loop in this cosmic circle. The Moon, in turn, falls around Earth the same way, held in our planet's gentle grip, circling every month through our sky. In this balance, there is harmony. Too slow, and a satellite would spiral inward, drawn inexorably to fiery destruction. Too fast, and it would escape into the void, never to return. But at just the right speed, an orbit closes on itself, tracing an ellipse through space-time, repeating over and over, a stable pathway woven by gravity's hand. Throughout the cosmos, countless such arrangements exist. Moons around planets, planets around stars, multiple stars twirling about their common center, even galaxies orbiting within clusters. Gravity binds systems together, but motion keeps them apart in a steady dynamic embrace. Even within a star, a kind of balance holds. The star's immense gravity tries to crush it inward, while the furious pressure of nuclear fusion in its core pushes outward. For most of a star's life, these forces cancel in an elegant equilibrium. The star shines steadily, neither collapsing nor exploding, held in balance by gravity's pull and the energy of its own burning heart. In our Sun, this equilibrium has persisted for billions of years and will continue until the star's fuel runs low. In that way, gravity is not only a force of attraction or motion, but also a force of containment and structure, allowing stars to live long, stable lives, lighting the darkness. The result of all these balances is a cosmos of great order and regularity. We see the same planets trace the same orbits year after year. We can predict eclipses and comets centuries in advance because the celestial clockwork is so precise. Even on Earth, we feel gravity's cosmic choreography. The Moon's pull raises our ocean tides, a gentle reminder that the motions of distant bodies touch our lives. There is a profound peace in this predictability. The Earth's reliable path, the Moon's monthly phases, the return of a familiar comet in its 76-year cycle. Each is a testament to gravitational grace, the way the universe holds itself together with a gentle but unyielding force. But gravity also invites dance, not just static orbits. Sometimes two stars will spiral in toward each other in a cosmic waltz, trading energy in tidal embraces, until they merge or fling one another away. Sometimes a passing star perturbs the delicate balance of a planetary system, sending worlds careening into new orbits or out into lonely exile. Even the serene balance can be punctuated by dramatic movements when gravity's configuration changes. Yet even those dramas follow natural laws and patterns, an ever-evolving choreography. From the smallest scale to the largest, gravity imparts a majestic order to the universe. It is the sculptor of motion and the keeper of cosmic time. Because of gravity, nights and days cycle predictably, seasons turn, and the heavens offer patterns that we come to know. The planets do not crash wildly about. They keep to their lanes, an invisible harmony of ellipses. In the darkness of space, this perpetual motion goes on, worlds swinging like pendulums, stars orbiting galactic centers over hundreds of millions of years. The universe spins and dances in silent, resonant patterns. To float freely in space is to sense this motion in one's bones, to feel the subtle tug of a distant planet, the slight curvature of one's trajectory around the Earth. An astronaut in orbit feels weightless, not because gravity has vanished, but because she and her ship are together, falling around the Earth. This is gravity's secret. It creates weight, and it takes weight away, depending on your frame of reference. In orbit, one experiences the paradox of being held by Earth's gravity while feeling free of it, gliding endlessly forward and downward at the same time. Celestial balance is dynamic, not static, a constant play of forces and motion. And in that play lies the stability that cradles us. We live in the grace of these cosmic arrangements. Earth at just the right distance from the Sun, in a stable orbit that has allowed life to thrive over eons. The solar system, in a calm corner of the galaxy, our star gently circling the galactic center. The cosmos has given us a place in its steady rhythms, steady enough for us to stand upon and gaze at the stars. From a vantage point far above our galactic home, one would see that the universe has a grand architecture. Galaxies are not scattered randomly like grains of sand. They form patterns, clustered together by gravity over billions of years. Our galaxy is but one spiral disk among countless others, bound together with its neighbors in a small gathering of galaxies. This group in turn drifts in the outskirts of a much larger cluster of galaxies. And beyond that, immense chains and congregations of galaxies lace the cosmos in every direction. On the largest scales, galaxies arrange themselves like a cosmic web or a vast sponge. Imagine threads and filaments hundreds of millions of light years long, made not of silk or fiber, but of galaxies strung out like beads. These filaments intersect at nodes, galactic clusters, where dozens or even thousands of galaxies swarm together, orbiting their shared center of mass. Between the filaments lie enormous voids, regions of startling emptiness spanning tens of millions of light years, with only the occasional lone galaxy or stray atom inside. The overall impression is of a universe woven of galaxies and emptiness, a bright lattice against a dark background. One such filament threads through our cosmic neighborhood, a nearby supercluster, a broad concentration of galaxies in which our small group is embedded. Our galaxy and its sister galaxy are being gently pulled toward a larger cluster at the supercluster's center, drawn by the combined gravity of tens of thousands of galaxies. Far beyond, even greater structures beckon. An even vaster basin of galaxies stretches hundreds of millions of light years across, a gravitational domain in which we reside. It is as if all these island universes, for that is what galaxies are, flow along invisible gradients, like cosmic rivers converging into greater seas. The true scope of these structures defies the imagination. If we could see the universe on this grand scale, we would behold something like the foam on a breaking wave, clusters of matter around bubbles of emptiness. There are great walls of galaxies tens of millions of light years long, and there are voids equally vast where you could travel for eons and find nothing. In the early universe, matter was nearly uniform, just grainy imperfections, in the hot plasma. But as time passed, gravity drew matter into strands, while expansion stretched space between them, amplifying the contrast. Over billions of years, the rich became richer. Dense regions gathered more matter and became clusters and superclusters, while sparse regions gave up matter and became enormous voids. What guides this massive clustering is not just the gravity of things we can see. An invisible scaffolding underlies the cosmic web. Astronomers infer that far more mass exists than shines in stars, a mysterious dark matter forming the backbone of the universe. This dark matter neither emits nor absorbs light. It drifts unseen, except through its gravity. It gathered in filaments and clumps first after the Big Bang, and ordinary gas followed its gravitational wells like a faithful shadow. Galaxies formed along those dark matter threads, like dew collecting on a spider's web. To this day, each galaxy is enveloped in a vast halo of dark matter, outweighing the bright stars by 5 times or more. Though we cannot see the dark scaffolding, its influence is everywhere. It keeps galaxies bound, it guides their clustering, and it acts as the glue of these immense patterns. Within this framework, galaxies themselves take on a variety of forms: spirals with whirling arms, elliptical clouds of stars, irregular bursts of light where collisions have disrupted order. They are the bricks in the cathedral of the cosmos. Each galaxy can contain billions or trillions of stars, arranged in its own structure: disks, bulges, halos, spiral arms, bars. Some are lively spiral galaxies like our own, rotating gracefully and forming new stars from interstellar gas. Others are giant elliptical galaxies, huge balls of old stars formed from the merging of smaller galaxies over time, now shining with a diffuse golden light. There are tiny dwarf galaxies clinging like satellites to larger ones, and titanic cluster galaxies sitting at the hubs of clusters, swollen with the stars of dozens of cannibalized neighbors. Galaxies are not static, isolated things. They interact and evolve. In dense clusters, galaxies swarm and sometimes collide. When 2 galaxies pass near each other, their mutual gravity can distort their shapes, drawing out long streamers of stars and gas, tidal tails stretching across space. If they merge, hundreds of billions of stars intermingle, and gas clouds crash together to ignite furious bursts of star formation. Over time, many spirals merge into featureless ellipticals. Our own galaxy bears scars of past mergers, streams of stars that were once smaller galaxies now assimilated, and in a few billion years, it is destined to merge with its neighboring sister galaxy, blending their stars to form one larger system in a slow dance over millions of years. Even the grandest architecture changes with time. Yet these interactions also follow a larger order. They occur along the filaments and nodes of the cosmic web, slowly building bigger galaxies and clusters. It's a hierarchical growth. Stars form into galaxies, galaxies into groups, groups into clusters, clusters into superclusters. At each level, gravity assembles and binds, while cosmic expansion gently pulls the fabric taut between the mass concentrations. To gaze at the universe's structure is to witness a masterpiece of natural organization. There is a kind of cosmic symmetry in the web, reminiscent of neural networks or the texture of foam, hinting that simple rules underlie its complexity. We see unity on scales we cannot personally traverse, billions of light years of matter arranged like a tapestry. From our tiny vantage point on a small planet in a minor galaxy, we peer out and piece together this vast design. It humbles us, yet it also gives us a sense of belonging to something immense. We are part of this cosmic architecture, a living creature on a world circling one star among the 100 billion in our galaxy, which is one galaxy among perhaps 2 trillion in the observable universe. The architecture of the universe reminds us that we inhabit a tiny room in a gargantuan mansion, And as we map the walls and corridors of that mansion, the filaments and voids, we gain perspective on our place. Our galaxy is our home, our small group, our neighborhood, our supercluster, our larger community. Beyond are countless others. The grand design stretches far beyond what we can directly see, and perhaps further than we can even imagine. But we can sense its shape, like an explorer sensing the shoreline of an ocean. The cosmic web is the scaffolding of creation, and it underpins everything we see when we look up at the night sky and realize those faint smudges are entire galaxies, arranged in a pattern so vast it takes the universe itself to hold it. But the universe's structure is not static. From the moment of the Big Bang, space itself has been expanding, carrying galaxies apart like leaves on a stretching pond. This expansion continues today, and indeed is speeding up. Galaxies are not flying through space, so much as space is growing between them. On average, every million light-years of space swells a little more with each passing million years. For nearby galaxies, gravity can overcome this expansion. Our small group remains bound together, for instance. But once we look beyond our neighborhood, we see almost every galaxy drifting away. Astronomers discovered that distant galaxies are receding from us, and the farther away they are, the faster they seem to flee. A galaxy 10 million light-years distant might be moving away at a modest pace, while 1 billion light-years distant races away at an enormous speed. The light from those far galaxies is stretched on its journey to us, shifted toward red, a cosmic Doppler effect called redshift. It is as if the fabric of space, while carrying those galaxies away, also stretches the very light that crosses it. By the time that ancient light arrives at our telescopes, it carries the signature of expansion in its elongated wavelength, whispering of the universe's growth. As the eons progress, expansion has profound implications for what is visible to us. The universe is finite in age, so there is a limit to how far light could have traveled to reach us since the beginning. That forms our cosmic horizon, the boundary of the observable universe. We estimate that we can see about 46 billion light-years in every direction. Even though the universe is about 13.8 billion years old, space has expanded during the light's transit. Beyond that horizon, there may be countless more galaxies and wonders, but their light has not yet, and some of it may never, reached Earth. The observable universe is like a bubble of vision around us, beyond which lies a vast unknown extending perhaps infinitely. Not only is there a horizon in space, but in time as well. When we peer out with powerful telescopes, we are looking back in time. Light from a galaxy 1 billion light-years away set out 1 billion years ago, long before humans existed. Modern observatories have detected galaxies whose light began its journey over 13 billion years ago, when the cosmos was young and those galaxies were newly formed. We see them as tiny reddish smudges, their light dim and stretched by cosmic expansion. They are glimpses of the past, fossils of the early universe shining in the darkness. But there is a point beyond which we cannot see further back with light. Before galaxies, before stars, when the universe was an opaque glow, that is the surface of last scattering, the source of the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light we can ever see. We have essentially reached that wall with our eyes. Beyond it lies the Big Bang's inscrutable brilliance we can only infer indirectly. As the universe expands ever faster, the observable horizon will change. Galaxies currently on the edge of visibility will slip beyond our view. In far future epochs, an astronomer in our galaxy might see nothing but an empty sky dotted with the stars of our own galaxy, or whatever merged system exists then. All other galaxies will have rushed out of sight, their light stretched beyond detection. The rich cosmic web we now perceive will gradually fade from view, as if the universe is drawing a curtain over its distant parts. This scenario underscores the preciousness of our current vantage. We live in a time when the cosmos still offers us a grand vista of its expanse. Yet even now, there are limits. No matter how large a telescope we build, we cannot observe beyond the cosmic horizon. It recedes as time goes on. New light from slightly more distant regions finally arrives, but the accelerating expansion means some regions will forever remain beyond reach. There are portions of the universe we will never see, and possibly never interact with. The expansion is like an ever-widening gulf. Still, the knowledge that the universe extends far beyond our observation evokes both wonder and humility. We are small figures in a vast story, able to see only a chapter of an epic whose entirety might be infinite. Expansion also means that travel to distant galaxies is effectively impossible with any foreseeable technology, because the space between us and them is growing too quickly. It is the universe's way of keeping different realms apart. Yet locally, our gravity binds us in a small oasis. Our galaxy and its few companions stay together, even as the greater universe stretches out. One day, that oasis might be all that's left visible, a solitary archipelago adrift in a dark, expanding sea. For now, we mark the expansion by the redshift of galaxies and the cooling of background radiation. We infer dark energy, that mysterious influence, possibly the vacuum's energy, pushing everything apart. We cannot feel space expanding here on Earth. Our planet and atoms are held tight by stronger forces, but we see its imprint on the largest scales. It is the grand breathing of the cosmos, having rushed outward in the Big Bang, and after a long period of gentler growth, it now accelerates outward once more, as if driven by an unseen wind. The expansion and its horizon remind us that the universe is dynamic and unfinished. Space grows, horizons shift, and our view is not the whole of all that exists. There is always something beyond, perhaps forever out of reach. This understanding both limits us and inspires us. It tells us that there are boundaries to what we can know by direct sight, but also that the cosmos is likely far more vast and varied than what we have witnessed so far. In the dark distance beyond the curtain of the observable, the universe may hold secrets we can only dream of, and even the part we see is expanding faster and faster, as if eager to slip into mystery. The void between stars is not absolutely void. Within a galaxy like ours, interstellar space is sprinkled with a diffuse medium, thin gas and dust drifting in the darkness between suns. In our region of the galaxy, there might be on average one hydrogen atom in each cubic centimeter of space, about the volume of a sugar cube. Elsewhere, the density can be higher or lower. In dense molecular clouds, there are enough atoms and molecules to eventually form new stars. And in these regions, you find striking nebulae, glowing clouds of gas lit up by young stars. In other places, empty space is so empty that a spacecraft could travel for years without colliding with even a single atom. Yet, even the sparse interstellar medium has structure and significance. It carries the traces of ancient supernovae in its atoms, seeds new solar systems, and gently whispers in radio waves, the hiss of distant quasars, the crackle of pulsars that propagate through it. This medium is the canvas on which starlight paints glowing auroras and nebulae. It also poses a challenge to travel. Though extremely tenuous, interstellar gas and dust moving at high speed can erode or damage spacecraft over long times, and the pervasive cosmic rays zip through this space, posing radiation hazards. Our solar system itself is cocooned in a protective bubble carved out by the sun. The solar wind, a stream of charged particles blowing outward from the sun, inflates a protective bubble that envelops the planets, deflecting many low-energy cosmic rays. At the edge of this bubble, around 18 billion kilometers away, the solar wind's influence wanes and the true interstellar medium begins. Humanity has sent probes, tiny ambassadors, that have now passed through this boundary. Those spacecraft felt the change, a sudden rise in cosmic radiation and a shift in the magnetic field, announcing their exit from the sun's neighborhood. Beyond, lay the unfiltered interstellar medium of the galaxy, still sparse, still quiet, but now dominated by the galaxy's background fields rather than our sun's. Far greater emptiness lies beyond our galaxy. If one were to travel out of our galaxy into intergalactic space, the already thin sprinkle of atoms would dwindle further. In the immense gulf between galaxies, you might find just a few atoms in an entire cubic meter of space. That is a better vacuum than any we can create on Earth. It is so empty that a beam of light could travel millions of light years without hitting a single particle. This is the realm of truly dark and silent voids. However, not all intergalactic space is equally empty. Within clusters of galaxies, the collective gravity of hundreds of galaxies holds onto a reservoir of gas that permeates the cluster. This intra-cluster gas is incredibly thin, just a few particles per cubic centimeter in the densest parts, but extremely hot. Heated to tens of millions of degrees, it glows in X-rays. So, paradoxically, the space in the middle of a galaxy cluster is filled with a diffuse, searing plasma, while the space between clusters, the great cosmic voids, is even emptier and colder than interstellar space. Interstellar and intergalactic space also contain invisible fields. Magnetic fields, though faint, thread through galaxies and can extend into intergalactic space, influencing the motion of charged particles. And the light from all galaxies passes through intergalactic space, occasionally interacting with any electrons or atoms it encounters. Even far from any galaxy, a photon from the Big Bang's afterglow or a stray radio wave from a quasar may eventually find an atom to excite. Such interactions are rare, but they do happen, gradually shaping the temperature and ionization of the tenuous intergalactic medium over billions of years. For a traveler coasting through interstellar space, the most noticeable thing would be the persistence of the starry sky. Even far from any star, you would still see distant stars and galaxies as points of light all around, but there would be no blue sky or atmospheric glow, only crisp starlight against black. If you were midway between the stars, you might not feel much of anything at all. No air, no dust hitting your ship, except perhaps an occasional grain over years, no noticeable gravity, except the faint pull from the nearest mass. You would be in almost pure freefall, gliding along the gravitational field lines of the galaxy without friction. Crossing from interstellar to intergalactic space, the stars would gradually cluster behind you into the shrinking visage of the galaxy you left. Ahead, fewer and fewer stars, until perhaps only faint smudges of other galaxies remain. The nearest galaxy might appear as a small, faint blur of light. Beyond that, nothing but the combined glow of distant clusters on the horizon of vision. You would truly be in the depths of space between the islands of the cosmos. The temperature out here, set largely by the background radiation, would be just a few degrees above absolute zero, and the darkness almost total. In both interstellar and intergalactic space, the vastness is humbling. The scales are so great that even at the speed of light, it would take tens of thousands of years to traverse the gap between stars, and millions to billions of years to go from one galaxy to another. The emptiness is both a barrier and a bridge. A barrier because of the enormous distances and paucity of fuel or resources along the way, and a bridge because it connects everything in a continuous expanse. There is no clear boundary, only a gradual thinning of matter and light as one travels outward. The emptiness between worlds and galaxies forms the canvas of the universe. It is not a dead nothingness, but a subtle, ethereal realm that carries light, shelters cosmic rays, and occasionally births a new atom as particles meet. It separates cosmic structures, but also unites them under one sky. It is the space into which humanity looks and longs to travel, a hard, cold road. but one of unparalleled beauty and mystery. For generations, we looked up at the heavens and wondered what it would be like to break the bonds of Earth. In our era, that ancient dream finally found wings in the roar of rockets. Imagine sitting atop a column of explosives, waiting for ignition. There is a shudder, a sudden crush of acceleration, and gravity's grip begins to loosen. As the rocket climbs, the sky darkens from blue to indigo to black. The atmosphere falls away like a discarded veil, and for the first time a human being sees the stars without a twinkle, bright and steady, even while the sun shines. The engine's roar fades to silence in the vacuum. Then, an almost miraculous moment. The pressure pushing you into your seat vanishes. You are in orbit, weightless, free. A new ocean has been crossed. The boundary of space. Inside the spacecraft, everything floats. Straps and pens drift about like ghosts. Your arms rise if you don't hold them down. There is no up or down anymore. The capsule can flip, and you wouldn't know except by convention. At first, your inner ear protests. Your stomach lurches with the unfamiliar sensation of freefall. Some pioneers get space sick, their bodies confused by conflicting signals. But soon, adaptation sets in. The nausea subsides, and a giddy exhilaration takes over. You push off gently and glide from one end of the cabin to the other. You feel like a child again, learning how to move, turning somersaults in mid-air with a laugh. Outside the window, Earth appears in full splendor, an arc of glowing blue against the black cosmos, banded with pure white clouds and the soft swirls of weather systems. Cities spark a golden web of lights at night. The polar caps gleam. Thin, iridescent bands of atmosphere rim the planet in delicate hues, a fragile halo of life. It hits you viscerally. The world is breathtaking, singular, alive with color and motion, and yet so small in the vast darkness. Orbiting every 90 minutes, you see sunrises and sunsets flash by in quick succession, each dawn revealing that slim, luminous membrane of air that keeps all of us alive. The sight stirs something deep in the soul. Many astronauts report tears welling unbidden. In microgravity, tears don't fall. They form shimmering globules that cling to one's face until gently brushed away. Sometimes, you see the planet itself putting on a light show. Silent bursts of lightning illuminating cloud tops, or sinuous auroras glowing green and red around the poles, shimmering as Earth's magnetic field guides the solar wind into the upper atmosphere. Life in orbit is a study in contrasts. You are freer than ever, floating as if in a dream. Yet you are confined to a cramped habitat, a tiny bubble of warmth and air in an otherwise lethal void. You learn to eat carefully, as crumbs drift off the table, to drink from sealed pouches with straws, for liquids form floating spheres if released. Sleeping in space is like sleeping on a cloud. You zip yourself into a sleeping bag tethered to a wall, and you neither sink nor toss. Every position is as comfortable as every other when there is no weight. Some astronauts find it the most restful sleep of their lives. Others miss the feeling of a mattress beneath them. Everyday tasks become novel. You can somersault through doorways. You can move heavy objects with a fingertip push. But beware, they have inertia and won't stop until they hit a wall. Your body changes too. Without gravity, your spine stretches a bit. You become a few centimeters taller, and fluids shift upward, making your face puffy and your legs thin. In time, your bones start to weaken from disuse, a reminder that long stays will require diligent exercise to keep the body strong. And then there is the spacewalk, stepping outside into the cosmic void with only a suit around you. When the hatch opens, you emerge into a silent, awe-inspiring panorama. The Earth spills out below, enormous and mesmerizing, while above you arches an infinite starry abyss. Attached by just a tether, you become a tiny satellite yourself. Each move must be careful. There is no sensation of weight, but masses still have momentum. You push yourself along the station's exterior, and without resistance, you glide until you reach out and grab a handhold. The silence is total, except for the whisper of your own breath in your helmet and the faint hum of suit systems. You are intensely aware of the thin layer of material separating your warm living flesh from the raw vacuum of space. In that moment, many astronauts feel a profound mixture of vulnerability and transcendence. To be so exposed, and yet so privileged to witness the universe directly. Some have described it as feeling closer to the stars, or having a front row seat to creation. From this vantage, you look down at your homeworld, and something shifts inside you. Borders drawn on maps mean nothing when you see continents and oceans seamless beneath passing clouds. You see the whole Earth at once, radiant and borderless, and it dawns on you how interconnected everything is. The atmosphere that appears as a thin, glowing line is all that shields life from harsh space. It looks delicate enough to be torn by a fingertip, though in reality, it's resilient. You notice no divisions from up here, just one shining planet, lonely and beautiful. It is said that almost every person who goes to space returns with a heightened reverence for Earth. They speak of the overview effect, a shift in consciousness. Floating in microgravity, watching your birthplace turn below, you feel both immense love for it and a strange sorrow, seeing how isolated it is in the darkness. Decades ago, human explorers even left Earth's embrace entirely and set foot on another celestial body. Imagine standing on the dusty grey plains of the moon, the gravity weak under your boots, the sky an eternal night with the distant sun glaring without atmosphere. The Earth hangs in that black sky as a blue marble, vivid and small. Those who walked on the moon looked up and saw their home planet rising above the barren horizon, an Earthrise, gorgeous and poignant. They were perhaps the first humans to truly grasp our world's solitary fragility in the cosmos. One moonwalker remarked that he could blot out the entire Earth with his thumb held at arm's length. In that gesture lies a humbling truth. Everything we are, everything we've known, all of humanity and history, could be obscured behind a mere thumb. Such is the scale of our existence in the universe. The human journey into space has only just begun, yet already it has changed us. We have learned that we can adapt to weightlessness, that our bodies and minds can function beyond our home planet. We have touched the moon and lived months at a time in orbit. We have built orbiting space stations where people from many nations live and work together in the void, a unity that reflects Earth seen from above. In floating laboratories, we have performed science impossible under gravity's pull, and we have learned new humility seeing Earth from afar. Each mission, each spacefarer's tale, becomes part of a new shared folklore, the story of a species extending its reach beyond its cradle. For those who have gazed down at Earth or up into the endless night, something fundamental often shifts. They speak of feeling beyond their individual selves, of sensing the unity of our planet and the brotherhood of all life. They describe the absolute stillness of space, the dizzying realization that they were literally between the stars, and the irresistible urge to protect the tender world they left behind. In microgravity, they floated physically, but many say their spirits were deeply grounded by the experience, grounded in the truth of our place in the cosmos. The experience of space changes a human being. It has been compared to a kind of enlightenment, not in a mystical way, but in the raw perspective it grants. To hold the entire Earth in your sight, to slip the bonds of gravity and live for a time in the heavens, is to step outside the frame of ordinary life and see it from a cosmic vantage. Those who have been there often struggle to put it into words, resorting to poetry or quiet awe. For those of us still on Earth, we listen to their stories and imagine, trying to feel a fraction of that epiphany. that perhaps we too, even with our feet on the ground, are part of something boundless and extraordinary. Outer space has a way of turning our gaze back inward. When we confront the infinite, we inevitably question the finite things about ourselves. On a clear night, under a sprawl of stars, humans have long felt something stir in the soul. The constellations we imagined were mirrors of our own stories, heroes, monsters, gods, as if the sky were reflecting our inner world back at us. In modern times, though the sky is understood scientifically, it still kindles wonder and introspection. We look up and realize how small we are, how brief our lives are against the backdrop of eternity, and yet how precious. If the entire 13.8 billion year history of the universe were compressed into one calendar year, an average human life would last only a fraction of a second, and all of recorded human history only the final minute of that cosmic year. And yet what a meaningful spark of time it is to us. Space challenges us with essential questions. Are we alone in this vastness, or is the universe teeming with other minds staring up at their skies? So far, the cosmos has been eerily silent. We have sent out signals, radio whispers into the galactic night, and listened for an answer. But all we hear is the natural music of pulsars and quasars, the static of the Big Bang's afterglow, no voice returning our call. Perhaps other intelligences are too distant in space, or too fleeting in time for us to hear. Countless civilizations may have risen and fallen long before we gained ears to listen, or in galaxies forever out of reach. This great silence can feel like isolation, a reminder that if we have companionship in the universe, it is not obvious or near. It urges us to cherish our own world and each other, for we may be all we have, at least in our cosmic neighborhood. And it drives us to search harder, to not give up hope that somewhere across the light years, another civilization, or even a simple organism, shares this universe with us. Looking into the void can evoke two very different feelings, one of insignificance and one of profound connection. On one hand, the sheer scale of the cosmos, billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, can make our concerns and even our existence feel negligible. Our Earth is a mere speck, our lives a blink of an eye. It's humbling to think that entire civilizations could rise and fall in a corner of the universe and go completely unnoticed by the rest. This realization can be disorienting, even frightening. It strips away any illusion that the universe was made for us. On the other hand, knowing that we are made of the same matter as the stars can be deeply comforting. Science has revealed that the atoms in our bodies, the carbon in our cells, the iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, were forged in the cores of ancient stars and spread through space by stellar explosions. We literally carry the universe within us. We are not interlopers in the cosmos. We are products of it. As one poet-scientist put it, we are star stuff, a way for the cosmos to contemplate itself. In that sense, when we look out into space, we are looking at our extended body, our cosmic family. The universe gave birth to us, and through our eyes it beholds itself with wonder. This idea can inspire a profound sense of belonging. It means we have as much right to be here as any galaxy or nebula. We are a way for the cosmos to experience itself, to marvel at its own majesty. When an astronaut on the moon looked back at Earth and felt an overwhelming love for that blue marble, or when a stargazer feels a strange homesickness for the stars, it might be this cosmic kinship stirring in us. Space becomes a mirror for our minds, its vastness reflecting our capacity for imagination, its mysteries reflecting our hunger for meaning. Space also puts our problems in perspective. Many astronauts report that from orbit it's impossible to tell where one nation ends and another begins. The squabbles and divisions that loom so large in daily life vanish at planetary scale. The fragility of Earth's atmosphere, the thinness of the veil protecting all life, impresses upon them the folly of poisoning our own air or fighting over borders invisible from space. In the grand isolation of the void, it becomes clear that all humans are in the same boat, or rather, on the same sphere, and that our fates are intertwined. This awareness can foster a shift in values, a focus on unity, stewardship of the planet, and a realization that petty differences matter little under the eternal stars. For those of us who have not flown in space, even a photograph of Earth rising beyond the moon's horizon, or a snapshot of Earth as a pale blue dot from afar, can spark a similar epiphany. Seeing our whole world hanging in the emptiness, small, radiant, and the only harbor of life we know, one cannot help feeling protective and tender toward it. It looks like an oasis, improbably green and blue in a desert of darkness. It asks us to reconsider how we treat our home and each other. Many who ponder these images describe a heightened environmental consciousness and a desire for global cooperation. After all, from an alien perspective, all humans share the same home and the same fate. Space, in its silent way, teaches us about ourselves. The black void can remind us of the voids in our own hearts that we seek to fill with meaning. The bright stars can remind us of the potential each of us carries to shine in our own way. The unstoppable expansion of the universe can mirror our own expansion of knowledge and spirit. And the extreme conditions of space, the radiation, the microgravity, the isolation, test our ingenuity and resilience, revealing depths of courage and creativity that might otherwise remain dormant. In the stories of astronauts, we often hear how their journeys changed their priorities or philosophies. Some speak of feeling connected to all life while floating in the cosmos. Others felt acute loneliness and used it to delve deeper into understanding themselves. Space forced them to confront fear, to master anxiety and solitude, and in doing so, many found a clearer sense of purpose or inner peace. One could say that by leaving Earth, they learned better how to live upon it. We too, as a society, are on a similar introspective journey as we push further into space. Each new discovery, be it a rover finding signs of ancient water on Mars, or a telescope capturing light from the dawn of time, prompts us to reflect on fundamental questions. What is life, and how common or rare might it be? How did the universe begin, and what is its fate? What role, if any, are we meant to play in this enormous cosmic unfolding? Such questions, once the realm of philosophers alone, are now also the pursuit of scientists, yet they remain deeply personal and philosophical at their core. In seeking answers among the stars, we often end up finding answers within ourselves. We come to realize the value of home, the importance of unity, the transient beauty of our existence. We learn patience and humility, for the universe reveals its truth slowly and cares not for our schedules. We learn hope and perseverance, because exploring space is hard and often met with failure. Yet we continue, compelled by curiosity and the innate human drive to go further. These lessons loop back to bettering life on Earth. Ultimately, outer space holds up a mirror to humanity. In its vast darkness, we see the light of our own consciousness shining. In its harsh emptiness, we see the warmth of our communities and relationships gaining new significance. The more we explore outward, the more we realize the significance of looking inward. The more we understand the cosmos, the more we cherish the fragile oasis of Earth and the lives of those we share it with. In the end, the journey into space is as much a journey into the soul, testing our character, expanding our perspective, and revealing the profound unity of existence. Space shows us that we are small, yes, but it also shows us that we are rare and precious. It reminds us that, as far as we know, we are the universe's only self-aware witnesses, a responsibility both humbling and ennobling. To stand beneath the stars, or to float above the earth, is to feel the stirrings of these truths. And even without leaving the ground, whenever we pause to contemplate the night sky, we engage in that very human act of introspection that the cosmos invites. We are drawn to the stars, and in doing so, we are drawn to examine ourselves. In the silent dialogue between a human mind and the infinite, we may find not only knowledge of worlds beyond, but wisdom about how to live more meaningfully on our own small world. But space is not an easy frontier. Alongside the wonder and revelation come profound challenges, emotional, existential, and technological. Consider the psychological strain of leaving everything familiar behind. Even in low Earth orbit, astronauts can gaze down and see their home, but as missions extend outward, that comfort diminishes. Imagine a crew en route to Mars, watching Earth shrink to a pale star in the window. Communications start to lag. A simple greeting to loved ones takes minutes to arrive, and their reply minutes more. The crew is essentially alone, millions of kilometers away from the nearest fellow humans. This isolation can weigh heavily on the mind. Confined in a metal shell with the same small group for months or years, they have no fresh air, no new faces, no open spaces. Every sunrise and sunset is artificial, dictated by the ship's schedule. The psychological fortitude required is immense. Small conflicts or doubts must be managed carefully, emotions kept in check yet also expressed in healthy ways, or the mission could be at risk. Astronauts on long missions report moments of acute loneliness or homesickness, a sudden realization of just how far away home really is. They miss the feel of wind, the sound of birds, the comfort of family. Some describe dreaming vividly of earthly pleasures like rain or the smell of grass. Others find solace in routine and the unique camaraderie of the crew. Mental resilience becomes as crucial as physical health. Space agencies spend great effort screening and training astronauts for emotional stability, teaching coping strategies for stress and isolation. Even so, the journey can test them to their core. In the silence of space, one can be left alone with their thoughts in a way that is rare on Earth, forced to confront their own fears and the fragility of their existence. The existential danger is ever present. Space is hostile to life, a void that would kill an unprotected person in moments. Astronauts live always with the knowledge that only a few inches of metal or multi-layered fabric separate them from instant death. A tiny puncture by a micrometeoroid, a failed seal on a hatch, a malfunctioning CO2 scrubber. Any of these could be catastrophic. There is no hospital down the street, no rescue team that can arrive in minutes. In space, emergencies must be handled internally, with whatever resources are on hand, and the ingenuity of those aboard, and perhaps advice over radio, if time and distance allow. This constant risk is psychologically taxing even on the steeliest individuals. They must learn to compartmentalize fear, to stay calm and methodical when alarms blare or something goes wrong. History has seen both triumphs and tragedies in this regard, moments when crews averted disaster with clever improvisation, and sad occasions when the unforgiving nature of space claimed lives. Each incident imprints itself on the collective memory of those who venture beyond, a reminder that courage and caution must walk hand in hand. The physical toll of space cannot be ignored either. We evolved in Earth's gravity and magnetic embrace. Freed from those, our bodies begin to falter. Bones lose calcium, weakening with each month in microgravity. Muscles atrophy without weight to work against. Astronauts must exercise vigorously 2 hours a day to mitigate this, strapping themselves to treadmills and resistance machines. Fluids shift upward, straining the heart and sometimes altering eyesight as eyeballs change shape slightly. The immune system can weaken, wounds heal more slowly, and strange effects like space anemia, the destruction of red blood cells at higher rates, have been observed. Most of these changes are reversible upon return to Earth, but for a journey to Mars and back, which could be 2 or 3 years, we do not fully know the long-term health outcomes. Prolonged weightlessness, or exposure to partial gravity on Mars, might have cumulative effects we have yet to discover. Then there is radiation, an invisible but relentless hazard. Outside Earth's protective magnetic field, cosmic rays and solar radiation bombard travelers. These high-energy particles slice through human tissue, damaging DNA and raising cancer risk. On a 6-month interplanetary trip, an astronaut could accumulate radiation exposure dozens of times higher than a year on Earth. A powerful solar flare, if one erupted during the journey, could deliver a potentially lethal dose unless the crew hunkered in a shielded storm shelter, often just a cramped section surrounded by water or fuel tanks or other shielding mass. We are designing better spacecraft with radiation protection, perhaps even considering electromagnetic force fields or artificial magnetospheres. But currently, radiation remains a major barrier to safe deep space travel. It is a sobering thought that the void between worlds is not empty, calm, but streaked with deadly cosmic bullets one must weather. The technological challenges are legion. Every system on a spacecraft must work more reliably than the finest clock, because failure can mean doom. Life support must constantly provide fresh air, clean water, and comfortable temperature and pressure. This means scrubbing carbon dioxide, filtering and recycling moisture from breath and sweat, and yes, urine too, back into drinkable water, and carefully managing thermal control so the ship doesn't freeze on the night side of a planet or bake in sunlight. All of this in a closed loop, for resupply is infrequent or impossible beyond Earth orbit. The complexity is enormous. A single mission to Mars would carry millions of distinct parts, all of which must function in concert. Redundancy is key. Important systems have backups, and backups of backups, because repair options are limited. Even something as mundane as a stuck valve or a computer glitch can have grave consequences millions of kilometers out. So spacecraft are engineered with resilience and failure modes in mind. Despite all precautions, crises will come. We have seen oxygen tank explosions, short circuits, coolant leaks, computer failures. Sometimes these happen in Earth orbit, where immediate help is still possible, and sometimes on the way to the moon, where crews had to rely on ingenuity and grit to survive. Future explorers venturing farther will carry that legacy of resourcefulness. They will need to be mechanic, doctor, engineer, and scientist, all in one, true sailors of the sky, fixing whatever breaks with whatever they have. The psychological pressure of this responsibility is immense, knowing that for years on end, you and your crewmates are the only humans you can depend on. If someone falls ill or is injured, you must be the caregiver with limited medical supplies. If a vital component fails, you might have to jury-rig a solution from spare parts and duct tape. The mantra of spacefarers is often, solve it, don't panic. But of course, inside each heart, there is the weight of that risk and the anxiety it brings. Even returning home poses challenges. After long stints in microgravity, astronauts come back to Earth weak and disoriented, requiring rehabilitation to walk steadily again. On a more existential level, some feel a kind of reverse culture shock. Having seen Earth from a distance and lived in isolation, the noise and rush of normal life can overwhelm, and the petty concerns of society can seem absurd. There can be a sense of alienation. After all, how many people can truly understand what it's like to drift in the cosmic void? Some spacefarers struggle with this reintegration, while others become passionate communicators, determined to share their new perspective and galvanize change down on Earth. In sum, the road to the stars is as perilous as it is inspiring. The men and women who undertake these journeys face inner and outer trials that test the limits of human capability. They grapple with fear, loneliness, and danger in a way few others ever do. Every day in space is an exercise in problem-solving, vigilance, and endurance. The reward is great, to expand humanity's horizons, but it does not come cheap. Each challenge forces us to innovate, to devise better shielding for radiation, faster propulsion to shorten trip times, spacecraft that can centrifuge to create artificial gravity, habitat ecosystems that can sustain life for years autonomously. Each challenge also forces us to reflect on why we go at all. Only strong motivation, the pursuit of knowledge, the survival of our species, or simply the mountaineer's creed of "because it's there," can justify the risks. Yet it is precisely through facing these challenges that we often find the best in ourselves. Adversity in space has brought out incredible ingenuity, as when mission engineers improvised a carbon dioxide filter fix with plastic bags and tape. Incredible courage and teamwork that transcends borders, as when astronauts from different nations cooperate seamlessly on a space mission to handle emergencies. The challenges of spaceflight push technology and cooperation in ways that benefit all of society, spurring inventions in healthcare, engineering, and computing, and inspiring generations to dream. In a way, the void of space is like a great teacher, stern and unforgiving, but pushing us to excel and to unite for a common goal. As we prepare for longer voyages, we are learning how to take care of each other and our environment even better, lessons that circle back to Earth, where sustainability and global teamwork are equally vital. The emotional, existential, and technical gauntlet that space throws at us is daunting, but humanity has not backed away. We accept the dangers and difficulties as the price of admission to the wider universe. In doing so, we carry forward a resilient spirit, one that acknowledges fear but acts in spite of it, that suffers setbacks but keeps striving. Each challenge met is a step toward the stars and a testament to human adaptability. And as we overcome these obstacles one by one, the once impossible journey to other planets, and perhaps one day other stars, begins to look within our reach. The very trials that space imposes on us may forge a more mature and united civilization, one capable of surviving and thriving beyond our home world. Imagine then a day in the future when humanity truly sets sail on the cosmic ocean. A slender starship ignites its engines and departs Earth's vicinity, not just for a loop around the planet or a visit to the moon, but bound for the deep unknown between the stars. As the ship rises, the blue world of our birth shrinks behind it. Soon, Earth is just a round, radiant marble in the blackness, then a bluish star among many. The travelers aboard feel a pang seeing their home fade. Every ocean, every mountain, every beloved face they have ever known, now contained in that tiny glimmer they leave behind. The ship glides past the moon, that familiar beacon of night. From up close, the moon is a silent grey desert, its horizon stark against space. The astronauts see the footprint trails and rover tracks left by earlier explorers still undisturbed in the dust, reminders that humans once stood here and looked back at Earth. They press onward. In a matter of days, the moon too is behind them, a pearl lost in the sun's glare. Onward, the vessel coasts, gaining speed. Weeks and months pass. They cross the orbit of Mars, though the red planet itself is on the far side of the sun at the moment. No matter, the travelers know it is there, a ruddy spark perhaps visible to their telescopes. Humanity's outposts on Mars, if any exist now, are far behind them as well. As the ship ventures farther, the sun grows smaller and fainter. What was once a life-giving disk of blinding light now appears as an intensely bright star among others. Still the brightest in the sky, but no longer overpowering. The sky around becomes richer with distant stars now that the sun's glare has diminished. Jupiter looms ahead on its orbit. The crew detours slightly for a flyby, and for a few days, the gigantic planet fills their view. They marvel at its swirling cloud bands and its great red storm and the dance of its many moons. As they whip past Jupiter, they catch a last glimpse of its moon Europa, its icy face hinting at the ocean beneath, one of the many places left behind for now, to be explored another time. Saturn comes next, with its ethereal rings spanning across darkness. The ship's path doesn't allow a close approach, but even from afar, Saturn commands awe, a pale golden orb encircled by gossamer hoops. In the silence, the rings shine like a cosmic music frozen in time. The crew carries these visions with them, mental souvenirs of the solar system's beauty. Beyond Saturn, the planets are ghosts in the distance. The ship passes the orbit of Uranus, then Neptune. Those outer giants are too distant on the other side of the sun to be seen. Out here, the sun is merely one star among others, albeit still warmer and more golden than the rest. The spacecraft is now reaching the threshold of interstellar space. Behind them, a vast sphere of comets, the Oort cloud, surrounds the solar system like a shell of ancient ice. As they penetrate this realm, the travelers know they are crossing an invisible frontier. Years into the journey, they reach the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind's influence gives way to the true interstellar medium. Here, the bubble of our sun's particles ends. The ship's instruments detect a change, cosmic rays spike, and the magnetic field shifts. They have entered the domain of the stars. Looking back, they see the sun as a fiercely bright pinpoint, nearly indistinguishable from countless other suns all around. They send a final message home, a farewell to the solar system that nurtured humanity. Perhaps it will be received decades later, a faint signal whispering of hope from beyond. Ahead of them lies the infinity of interstellar night. The nearest neighboring star is still years of travel away, its light a beacon that has drawn them onward. They carry with them the legacy of Earth, its languages, its art, its dreams and memories, packed into a small ship traversing the big dark. As the starship crew settles into the long cruise between suns, they reflect on their journey. Each passing million miles has been a step farther than humans have ever gone. Behind them, planets circle the sun in their timeless ballet, but those familiar shores are receding into history. Everything now is new and unknown. In the solitude, they take comfort in knowing that in a way, all of humanity is with them in that ship. Our curiosity, our courage, and our longing for adventure ride with them toward whatever awaits in the interstellar abyss. One day, they know, a new sun will begin to brighten ahead, the destination's star. But for now, the starship moves in silence through the great emptiness, forging a trail that others will follow. Humanity has left its cradle. We are becoming a spacefaring species, step by step. And this voyage is the proof and the promise that we may travel far and yet carry home in our hearts wherever we roam. Humanity stands today at the shore of a cosmic ocean, preparing to set sail farther than ever before. The future of space beckons with possibilities that once lived only in science fiction. Even now, plans are being laid. Within the coming decades, people may live for months on the moon's surface in habitats, extracting water ice for air and fuel. The first footprints on Mars are likely just years or a few decades away, opening a new frontier on that dusty red world. We can imagine a time, perhaps later this century, when a small village exists on Mars, men and women waking to an alien sunrise with two tiny moons in the sky, Phobos and Deimos drifting overhead, tending greenhouses under domes, building homes from Martian soil, raising children who will call Mars their home. In the morning, they might venture out in pressurized rovers or suits to watch the sun rise weekly through pink-orange skies. They will marvel at the tiny moons racing overhead and at Earth glimmering faintly in the twilight. Their children might play in the lower gravity, leaping joyously, knowing a fall is gentler than on Earth. These pioneers will adapt to Mars's challenges, and Mars will cease to be alien. It will become another place of human stories and memories. Making space our next home will be a gradual, challenging endeavor. But step by step, we are moving from exploration to settlement. After Mars, Perhaps habitats in the asteroids or on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn could follow. There is talk of using asteroid resources to build rotating space colonies, enormous wheel-like stations that spin to create artificial gravity, where tens of thousands of people could live and thrive. It sounds fantastical, but serious engineers have drawn up designs. Envision a cylindrical world with fields and lakes on the inner surface, rotating once per minute to simulate gravity, bathed in sunlight concentrated by mirrors. In such a place, people might live much as on Earth, but freely floating in space, perhaps positioned at a stable balance point between Earth and Moon. It would be a new kind of home, one crafted by human hands in the heavens. There is also the prospect of mining resources in space, harvesting solar energy with far greater efficiency, or collecting rare minerals from asteroids, potentially revolutionizing our civilization's relationship with Earth by moving heavy industry off-world and preserving our planet's environment. Some futurists imagine a Dyson swarm of solar collectors around the Sun, capturing a significant fraction of its energy to power human activities, or fleets of automated factories, building the components of new space habitats from lunar and asteroid materials. If these visions come to pass, space will not just be a place we visit. It will be an extension of Earth's economy and living space, a canvas for human creativity and enterprise. Yet, as we extend our reach, space will continue to test and surprise us. Living beyond Earth will demand new technologies and perhaps new kinds of humans. We may adapt biologically or cybernetically to low gravity or high radiation environments. Societies in different gravity wells, Earth, Moon, Mars, might diverge culturally or even physically over very long times. We may face ethical questions. Who owns space resources? How to fairly share the sky? How to protect pristine alien environments from contamination? Our expansion will force us to grow not just technologically, but morally, to ensure that as we become a multi-planet species, we do so with wisdom and respect for any life that might exist elsewhere. And always there remain the mysteries. As much as we have learned, the universe still guards the majority of its secrets. We have not yet identified the dark matter that holds galaxies together, nor understood the dark energy accelerating the cosmic expansion. These make up the bulk of the cosmos, and until we comprehend them, our picture of reality is incomplete. Perhaps in giant space observatories or far-side lunar telescopes, scientists of the future will finally detect the particle or field that constitutes dark matter, or figure out how to harness, or at least explain, dark energy. Each answer will no doubt raise new questions. Such is the nature of science, an ever-receding horizon of understanding. We also continue to search for life beyond Earth. Upcoming probes will drill into the ice of Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus, seeking microbes in the dark oceans beneath. Advanced telescopes will scan the atmospheres of exoplanets for the chemical fingerprints of biology, oxygen perhaps, or other telltale gases, in hopes of finding a living world circling a distant star. It is possible that within our lifetimes, we will find evidence that life is not unique to Earth. How profound that would be, to know that biology has taken root elsewhere in the cosmos. It might be simple bacteria under alien ice, or weird creatures in the clouds of a gas giant, or merely fossilized remains from ages past. Or perhaps signals from intelligent beings might one day be detected, a radio beacon or an alien artifact, finally answering the question that has haunted us since we first looked at the stars. Are we alone? The discovery of other life, especially intelligent life, would change the trajectory of human history irrevocably, challenging our self-conception and either alleviating or confirming our cosmic solitude. Even if life elsewhere remains elusive, our own lives will venture outward. In a century or two, there could be self-sustaining cities on Mars, research bases on Europa, and astronaut explorers trekking across the dunes of Titan under a dim sun. In Titan's perpetual twilight, they might gaze at Saturn's hazy outline, hanging in the sky like a ghostly ornament behind orange clouds, a reminder of the wider solar system beyond. The grandchildren of the first spacefarers might pilot ships to the asteroid belt as routinely as crossing an ocean. Perhaps by then, we will send crewed expeditions to the nearest star systems, the nearest sun, perhaps aboard a ship where many generations live and die before journeys end, or by using propulsion techniques that border on science fiction, like fusion drives or light sail ships accelerated by immense lasers. The distances to the stars are daunting, trillions of miles, but if we find a compelling reason, such as a truly Earth-like exoplanet beckoning, human determination may find a way. It could be that those who eventually set foot on an alien shore will be the distant descendants of the pioneers who left Earth, people born entirely in transit, carrying a torch of memory and culture through the void. Their spacecraft would be a world unto itself for centuries, an ark bearing the hopes of our species across the gulf. When they finally arrive, it will be as if a piece of Earth's soul has taken root among the stars. Yet even as we push further out, the ultimate mysteries remain. We still wonder what sparked the Big Bang, what breathed fire into the equations of physics and brought space and time into existence. We wonder if our universe is but one of many, a single bubble in an endless cosmic foam of universes. These are questions that may forever transcend empirical science, or maybe one day a new physics or a stroke of genius will illuminate them. We contemplate the fate of the universe. Will it expand forever, gradually dimming into a cold, diffuse mist of particles? Will it rip apart in a cataclysm billions of years hence? Or could it one day stop expanding and collapse in a new big crunch, perhaps to be reborn again? The answers lie in the weight of dark energy and the shape of space on the largest scales, answers we strive to glean through observation and theory. And then there is the mystery of consciousness and meaning. We carry into space not just our bodies but our minds and philosophies. Does traversing the cosmos bring us any closer to answering why we are here, or what significance our existence holds in this immense arena? These questions, philosophical and spiritual in nature, accompany us on every rocket. For some, the very act of exploration is part of finding meaning, a chance to participate in the grand story of the universe understanding itself. For others, meaning is to be made on Earth, through improving life here, and space is seen as a means to that end, by providing knowledge, perspective, resources. Either way, the pursuit of the stars inevitably entangles with our pursuit of purpose. The future in space holds great promise and great unknowns. We know the sun will eventually make Earth uninhabitable in some billions of years. If our descendants are still around then, they will have had to move elsewhere by that time. Perhaps by then, our progeny will dwell in other star systems, or even other galaxies. The sun might swell and engulf our long-abandoned home, but life that began on Earth could thrive on, rendering the death of our planet a poignant footnote rather than the end of the story. In that distant future, if humans, or our evolutionary or artificial progeny, are living among the stars, they might look back at this era as the time when the species took its first tentative steps beyond its cradle. They might tell legends of the brave early ocean-crossing explorers who first ventured outward, much as we tell of ancient seafarers on Earth's oceans, hopefully with more wisdom gleaned from history. Still, even a galactic civilization would find itself face to face with mystery. Perhaps they will have solved many puzzles we struggle with, unified physics, tapped into energy sources unimaginable to us, maybe even engineered new forms of life or intelligence. But new questions will always arise. This is the beautiful paradox of the ultimate mystery. The more we comprehend, the more deeply we appreciate the infinite depths that remain. Every new horizon we reach reveals a further horizon beyond. Space will always evoke a sense of the sublime, that mixture of awe and humility when confronted with something so vast and profound. No matter how at home we make ourselves on other worlds, the universe will continue to astonish us with phenomena beyond our ken. Colliding black holes that shake space-time, quantum oddities in the vacuum, perhaps dimensions or realities parallel to our own. The unknown is not a void to fear, but an invitation to grow. In chasing that invitation, we might indeed make space our home in stages, first the moon, then Mars, then free-floating colonies and beyond. But we will likely never cease to be explorers. And so, the future of space is in a sense the future of humanity. It challenges us to become more than we are, to solve unsolved problems, to unite in common endeavor, to keep curiosity and courage at the forefront. It promises new knowledge and wonders, and also demands responsibility and reverence. We stand on the threshold of that vast frontier with both excitement and caution. We know some of what awaits, hardships and discoveries in equal measure, and we also know that much will surprise us. Space will remain our ultimate mystery, even as parts of it become familiar. Like a perpetually unfolding story, each chapter we write among the stars will lead to questions and adventures we have not yet imagined. In dreaming about space, we are really dreaming about our own potential. Will we spread life and consciousness beyond Earth, adding our unique spark to other corners of the cosmos? Will we solve the cosmic riddles that have intrigued us since we first looked up? The answers will come only if we venture forth and see. The journey is just beginning, a journey both outward, to worlds awaiting our footfalls, and inward, toward understanding our place in this grand universe. In striving to make the cosmos our home, we may ultimately come to feel at home in the cosmos, not as strangers in a cold expanse, but as an integral part of the magnificent, ongoing process that began with a bang and continues in each one of us. Now we find ourselves once more in silence. The journey through space returns us to the very ground beneath our feet, to the air filling our lungs. Stop for a moment and feel your breath. In, out, a soft rhythm that has continued every moment of your life. That air you inhale, where did it come from? It is ancient. Long ago, it was part of a cloud of gas wafting over the primordial earth. It has been cycled through millions of organisms over billions of years. Some of its oxygen was forged in a supernova before the sun was born, the rest churned out by plants basking in sunlight. In each breath, you take in a gift from the stars and the earth alike. When you exhale, your breath returns to the atmosphere, eventually to mingle with the winds and perhaps one day to become part of another being. Thus, in breathing, you participate in a cosmic exchange. Feel the gravity holding you gently to the earth. It is the same force that guides the planets and keeps galaxies spinning. The weight you feel is your connection to the planet and by extension to the greater mass of the cosmos. As you stand or sit here, countless neutrinos from the sun are coursing through you unnoticed, and the light from a star 1,000 years distant might just now be reflecting in your eyes. You are quietly, profoundly connected to the universe, entangled in its web of energy and matter. Notice the present moment, this singular point in time. All the eons of cosmic history have led up to now, and you carry that history in you. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your muscles, these atoms remember the furnaces of long-dead stars. In a way, the universe has been breathing too, across time, drawing together to form stars and planets, exhaling them in supernovae, circulating elements, eventually bringing forth life that can breathe on its own. Your breaths are tiny echoes of that larger breathing of creation. Space is vast and can seem remote, but realize that you are an inseparable part of it. You belong to the universe as much as any nebula or galaxy. When you look at the night sky, you are not just an observer. You are a participant, a node of consciousness through which the cosmos gazes back at itself. The hydrogen in your body, present in every molecule of water in you, has been here since the dawn of the universe, created in the Big Bang's first moments. The universe isn't just around you, it's within you. With each breath, consider that you are sharing something fundamental with every other breathing creature on Earth and with the broader universe. You inhale atoms that might once have been inside dinosaurs, inside ancient kings and queens, inside humble peasants and towering redwoods. You exhale atoms that might someday cycle through a microbe in the soil or a flower or a future child. You are part of an endless cycle, a thread woven into the tapestry of life on this planet. And that tapestry itself is woven into the fabric of space-time. Take comfort in this unity. In the quiet of a dark night, when you might feel small beneath the stars, remember that you are made of their light and dust, that your story is a continuation of the cosmic story. The loneliness of space that we once feared is an illusion. We have always been home. Earth is our cradle, the stars our ancestry. As you breathe, feel the kinship with all existence. The air that fills your lungs connects you to every other being that ever lived, and to the trees that sweeten the air, and to the oceans where life first stirred. Above you, the stars wheel, distant suns with their own planets. Perhaps, on one of those specks, a being also stands under the sky, wondering if someone like you exists out here. In that possibility lies a beautiful symmetry. We search the cosmos and find ourselves. We reach for others and discover connection. In this still moment, there is no rush. The universe unfolds at its pace, and you are part of its unfolding. Breathe in the knowledge that you are here, now, alive at a time when we can understand so much of the cosmos. Breathe out gratitude, perhaps, for the chance to witness the wonders of existence. Space is not an empty void. It is the womb of all that is, and we are its children. The darkness of space allowed the stars to shine, and in turn, those stars sparked the atoms that became us. We carry the universe's legacy and its curiosity. When we feel wonder under the night sky, it is the universe experiencing wonder through us. Remember that wherever you go, under whatever sky, you are always part of this greater whole. Whether we travel to other planets or remain on Earth, this fact remains. We were born of the cosmos, we live in the cosmos, and to the cosmos we shall return. There is an old saying, we do not inherit the universe from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Our explorations, our caretaking of Earth, our quest for knowledge, all these are ways of repaying that loan, of ensuring the cosmos remains vibrant with life and meaning. So breathe, and know that in this simple act resides the essence of what all this grand talk of galaxies and nebulae comes down to: life, conscious, precious life, experiencing existence moment by moment. Here you are, a being of stardust and thought, taking part in the ancient rhythm of inhale and exhale. In the grand history of the universe, your life is a flicker, and yet it is unique and brilliant. There has never been anyone exactly like you in all of time and space, nor will there be again. You are a small, vital spark in the cosmic night. And as you release your breath and draw in another, feel the stillness around you. In that stillness, hear the faint echo of the first silence before creation, and the ongoing hush that pervades the galaxies. It is not an empty silence. It is pregnant with all that is, the background in which all cosmic symphonies play. In that silence, know that you are home. Whether under the sky of Earth, or on a ship between worlds, or on some future Martian dawn, you carry home within you. The universe is your home, and you belong in it utterly. In the end, the journey we've taken, from the birth of space and time, through stars and voids, to the edge of the observable and into the future, brings us back to ourselves. We sit in the darkness, not fearful but full of awe, breathing softly in tune with the great dance of galaxies. We feel the beat of our hearts, an echo perhaps of the primordial cosmic heartbeat. We feel the gravity anchoring us, the air enlivening us, the light, even if unseen at this moment, bathing us. We are here. We are part of it all. In this awareness lies a profound peace. The cosmos is vast beyond measure, and we are small, yet we are an indispensable part of that vastness. We are fortunate to be alive and aware, capable of witnessing the beauty of a nebula or the fragile curve of Earth, capable of feeling love and curiosity. As long as we live, we carry the torch of consciousness that the universe has lit within us. So let the quiet of space wash over you now. Feel not loneliness, but companionship with every atom and star. Feel grounded, present, and connected. The darkness is dotted with light. The silence is filled with meaning. In this moment, in this breath, you are exactly where you need to be. An intimate part of the universe's story, at home in the cosmos.